A petition to remove Juan Soto's "Good Morning, Everybody" from the Open until he hits 200. Yeah. Happy Monday, everybody. Let's get our heads right here on the program on this Monday morning. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. It's our executive producer. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning.
Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning.
Good
How's
morning.
everybody doing?
Just fantastic. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic weekend, as usual.
I'm a little nervous, actually.
I'd say you probably should be. Yeah. I'd say you should. Today's National Haiku Day. I wrote a haiku in honor.
Did you?
Yeah, I did this morning, just now. A haiku is 575.
Mm-hmm.
5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. Get your fingers out.
I will be grading, yes.
Okay, ready? The season began.
Okay.
The boys have not shown up yet.
The boys have not shown up
Ooh,
yet.
7 one-syllable words. Very nice.
We will make playoffs.
We will
No.
play.
No. Yes, it's 5 syllables, but you took out the to make it work, and
All right, hold
I
on.
feel like I'm grading
Shut
you
it.
down for that.
Will.
We'll make.
We apostrophe LL.
We'll make
make
the playoffs. Yeah, we'll make
It's
the
much
playoffs.
better.
There you go. I'm
Much
going to do it
better.
again. Let me do it again. Shut up. The season began. The boys have not shown up yet. We'll make the playoffs. Yeah.
Boom.
Kind of how I feel. It was a rough one, man. It was really, really a rough weekend, baseball wise. It happens in the course of a long season, certainly, but I don't know, man. We have a lot to get into today. I mean, I'd say we could do an hour on Juan Soto and the enigma that he has been since he's gotten here. You were ready to trade him for a middle reliever last week.
Not ready to trade him for an over.
I probably should have agreed with you at that point. I read some comments.
It wasn't a middle reliever, to be fair. It was like a bottom end starting pitcher.
Third, like a 3, and a middle reliever, and maybe like a speed guy off the bench. I think Ben would have pulled the trigger on that last week. And, I defended him and boy, it was just rough. It's just rough. And I think exacerbated by some quotes that came out over the weekend, some things I saw that didn't really sit right with me. And we're going to talk about all of those today. But all of that aside, we'll certainly get into. I'm pretty pissed off. I think yesterday's game was one of those games you feel like, good teams don't lose those games. Good teams don't waste pitching performances from Yu Darvish like that. Good teams capitalize on. Listen, he's a big leaguer. I get it. He's 48 years old. He throws 91 miles an hour. It's Wade Miley, who again came out and dominated the San Diego Padres yesterday. That's inexcusable. It's inexcusable. And I know, hey, some days it's not your day. Already in 2 weeks, we've had a couple of those where it's like, hey, man, this guy's not that great. You can't afford to have one of those. It's not our day today. And that's what's been happening. So got to get it going. Obviously, once one series ends, the next series begins. And now you get Max Fried and Spencer Strider. So you've dug yourself into a little bit of a hole. I don't think you're going to, miss out on the playoffs, as we were talking about before the show, Ben. It's not a football season. This is a football season. We're out of it already. But again, the deeper the hole that you dig, the harder it is to get out of. And it's like it never ends.
This is not foreplay at all. My goodness,
I know.
you are fired up
pissed
this morning.
I was pissed. Well, I reread that Ken Rosenthal piece this morning before work. I read it last night. I was livid, and I read it again before the show started, just as like a little, like a little bump to get my head straight, reading that Ken Rosenthal piece. And boy, it got me fired up all over again. So now, that's what we'll be talking about a lot today. Wasn't really pleased with some of the quotes that came out, and I don't know. Well, maybe some things are being taken out of context and misconstrued, but I'd certainly like to parse them all out.
Well, the Padres aren't the reason that I said I was nervous. I thought we were talking about foreplay. I came up with my own haiku this morning, just in the last 5 seconds. On jury duty, forgot to call in last night. Think I need to leave.
If you leave today, the show's over. Just so
Yeah.
you know.
I didn't realize.
we had a
So,
good run, 5 years.
so
Yeah,
I
it's
guess I'm supposed to call in 5 straight days because I thought I was out on Friday, but then they didn't need me, so I came in. But then I didn't realize I was supposed to call in Sunday night, so I just called in on my way to work, and I had the number, but I don't have my badge number, and they said, for badge numbers blank blank to blank blank, please report at 7:30. For badge numbers blank blank to blank blank, we don't need you today. Call in tomorrow. And I don't know which one I am, so I may actually need to report to the Vista Courthouse in an hour and 24 minutes.
It's not happening.
Otherwise, they will send the marshals out, and at 7:31, when I don't show up, they will probably storm this place with a SWAT team to take me into custody.
That is not.
Is that how jury duty works?
Nope. No, I think they give you a little slap on the wrist or something. I don't
They
know.
don't have a highly paid team of professionals who are rounding up jury delinquents who don't show up to their assigned posts.
I mean, you better hope your badge number wasn't called, and I'm not sure what you do if you missed it, but I don't think it's anything severe.
well, I mean, if you're sick, obviously you can call in and say, I can't go on.
Well, they can hear you right now. They can hear you on the radio.
Sorry, I can't make jury duty this morning.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling well.
So you're here, so they know you're here.
I mean, it's great I love the call in and don't go sort of thing, but then how can you live your life?
How do you
on
live your
standby
life?
for
That's-
5 days, not knowing if you're gonna have a day off? That's even harder than the original system.
Was this,
Just show up.
It wasn't
get
always
it
this way,
done.
right?
No, you showed up, and if you didn't get on a trial, you were
They
done.
sent you home.
That's what I thought I was doing on Friday. But now I'm supposed to call in every day for a week and not know whether you guys are going to be doing the show
Right.
without me. That's impossible.
It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work
Yeah,
that way. It's not great.
That's BS.
Well, baseball was not the topic of du jour for foreplay. It wasn't supposed to be. But I was really mad again when I read that these pieces. There's several pieces coming around, and there's a lot of blame flying around. And I'm more of the I like to look in the mirror if things go wrong. I try to, at least. The guy staring back at me is usually the problem. He's usually the problem. That's just me. Maybe I'm built different, though. I realize when things are spiraling out of control, if I take a nice, long, hard look in the mirror, I go, I could be better. I could work harder. I could be kinder. I could apologize more. I could be more attentive, more patient, right? Like we all do that, the self-reflecting. I don't see a lot of that going on right now. I see a lot of, well, it's my fault. Nobody's telling me.
You're just mad at one person.
I'm pretty pissed today, actually. I'm pretty pissed. I don't like these comments at all. I don't think they're smart. I don't think they do this team any favors. And we will talk about all of them, certainly. I wanted to ask Paulie because I would think he's probably out of everyone that's going to be looped in on this show on it. My Twitter feed exploded last night with people upset about Love is Blind.
Oh my God.
Now, I don't know what it is.
I saw that too.
Holy
went-
crap.
It went, and it was, not just like
It
you're live.
was everybody.
Everybody.
It was everybody.
Big famous stars were like, what are we doing here? Like,
I'll be honest. I did not know. I guess I did not realize that the show was so popular.
it's massive. What is it? Is it
It's
blind people dating?
No. Love is Blind. It's
It's just umpires.
it's
It's just
the
trying
end.
to find love.
it's a bunch of umpires. Yeah. It's Lance Barrett and no.
Hi, I'm Doug Eddings, and for a long time, I've been challenged in the arena of love. That's why I came on this game show.
It's a reality
You're
dating
out.
show.
And then when they don't pick somebody, they go, you're gone. But I just walked. All I said was hello. You're out of here.
Yeah, you can't argue at all. If you
There's
argue,
no
you're
arguing.
kicked off the show.
She's like, I just tried to order my dinner.
Then
You're gone.
in the finale, when they finally pick someone, I'm feeling emotionally
Safe. I'm safe. By the way, I would watch that show.
What would that show be called? I'd Love is Blind.
Love is Blind is perfect.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of a.
You think about it.
Safe at home, obviously.
Safe at home.
Safe at home. Obviously.
So it's a reality dating show on Netflix. It's the 4th season now. And the way it works is men are in one side, women are in one side of this like warehouse, and they have these pods. And so you walk into a small room with a couch,
Okay.
and you are talking through the wall to another person. You don't know what they look like. and you start dating and you see if there's a connection there, and if there's not, you move on to the next person. It's
They
kinda
had
like
this in the
speed dating.
70s. It was called the dating
dating game.
You had
Kinda
one
like that.
person on one side of the wall, 3 other people on the other
And
side.
you had to judge
asked
on
them
their
questions without
voice
seeing
and their
them.
questions.
And you start to develop a relationship. You're like, oh, I kind of like this person. Hey, let's meet back here later tonight. And then you guys both meet back in your same pods.
Face to
and you
face
start
or
talking-
no?
No, you never see
you
them.
never see them.
You, by the end of the experiment, after I don't remember how many days, let's call it a week in the pods, you have to decide if you're going to ask the person that you have connected
To
with on
marry
the other side of
each
the wall
other?
to get engaged.
Why does it have to be engaged? Why can't it just be a relationship? Why do all these shows have to be about
The
marriage?
stakes have to be higher. No one watches if the stakes are low.
If they're just dating,
If
they're just
the-
going to dinner. It's
Yeah,
like
the end all be all is, hey, we're gonna go get coffee next week.
That's spring training. This is the playoffs. Here.
So
we need some high stakes.
If both people agree, like, yeah, I will marry you, then they get to see each other for
All
the
right.
first time.
so. Not
And
that-
then they go on a vacation to Mexico, the whole group, and then they go back to their homes. This season took place in Seattle, and then they live together, and you kind of like they have like a month from not knowing who the other person existed to standing at the altar. And yesterday was over the week, or like last week, the last episode came out, and you got to see the weddings and all that, and the drama and all that. Yesterday was the tell-all, the live recap. They bring everybody back.
right. See, that's still not the one I want. That was
That's
a li-
usually the best one.
They did it live. They were gonna do it live on Netflix.
So
And-
Netflix was trying to do it live. They remember we talked about Chris Rock, his latest stand-up on Netflix was a live Saturday night special, and it went off without a hitch. It looked good. It was kind of cool. Netflix has been trying to get into the live sports industry.
Can you imagine?
Like, I don't know if they were going to make a
Where
pitch.
is first pitch?
Like, I don't
What
know
are
if they were going to
doing?
try to get in with like the NFL Network or something, but Netflix has expressed
Thursday
interest.
night football on Netflix.
They
will
want
be
to get into
available
live
Friday
tomorrow.
morning at
Yeah.
8 a.m.
So last night,
streaming across the country.
Last night they had been hyping it up for all week long. It was the tell-all, the recap, everything. Live, 5 p.m. on the West Coast on Netflix. You go to Netflix, it says live, click here to watch. It's like 4:58. You turn it on and you get an error message.
Error. And it happened.
And then you go online and you see that it's not just you. Everybody's got the error message. And then Netflix said something like, I went and looked. They tweeted out like, love is ... late. We'll be on in 15 minutes. 15 minutes go by. Nothing. 30 minutes goes by. Nothing. They're not tweeting anything. They are gone radio silent. It was like an hour and a half before they finally said, hey, yeah, we're really, really sorry about this. We're going to just tape it now and we'll get it out as soon as we can, which is kind of what everybody was like. That's what I was like, just start the cameras.
Start it, go.
You were
and
going to
then-
go live. It was
Right.
going to be one take, right? So you might as well just film it now and then in an hour, post it. They're going to post it today.
All right. I mean, so now people can watch it on a Monday, but they were really excited to watch it last night.
You had plans
my-
Sunday night. You were
yeah,
gonna-
my feed went-
You had an appointment viewing, is what that
Somebody
is.
was like, well, I was going to watch this, but Succession's on in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm turning that on now.
My feed went absolutely ham yesterday about it last night. Just went crazy. It was trending. It was nuts. But yeah, so Juan Soto and Love is Blind were our foreplay topics. Maybe Juan Soto also blind. Definitely not blind. He can see. Just reluctant to pull the trigger sometimes, I think. I'm very upset this morning.
You
about it.
are.
Let's read I want to read. We'll start with one of those articles after the Diddy.
All right, sounds good.
Let's
Just
do
get
that.
right into
The
it.
one I'm so mad about.
All right. Also coming up on the program today, it is a Grand Ole Monday with Cespedes Family Barbecue. Jordan Schusterman going to join us at 8:35. In season, Sammy Levitt going to be with us at 9:35 to wrap up the weekend that was, and the Braves coming into town to face the Padres. He may even stop by in studio with us.
Sammy
this
Levitt,
morning.
I
Yeah.
love that idea.
So, and then all of our regular features, including the Daily Diddy, Don't Do This, Take on Woods, and more. Getting started. Woods is definitely fired up. I'll try to calm him down a little bit. I don't know if it'll work, though. We'll see. Let's get going here next with Ben and Woods after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Oh, God. I was having a crap Monday, and Ben brings this to the table. Why don't you take a dump on my head?
All right, so
Here's my hat.
I said
It was,
to Paul,
a decent theme. Maybe on
said,
any other
Woods
day.
is going to hate the song.
God.
He's going to like the theme, though.
Knee deep in the hoopla, Ben.
And I like this song, Starship, but it's
Isn't this like
It's
unanimously
usually
like
Unanimously,
it's
the
usually
worst song of all
it's
time.
usually referred to as the worst song of all time. The theme this week is songs that you are at least somewhat embarrassed to like. And this one,
Fine.
because of
It's a
everyone's
great-
opinion,
It's a great.
I like it.
It's a
and-
great-
but
So,
I'm
like,
kind of embarrassed
topic.
about it.
just guilty pleasure songs.
Yes.
It's a great topic.
For whatever reason, you're kind of embarrassed. Oh, I like this song. I do. I like this song.
I got a gazillion of these. A gazillion. Oh,
That's okay. You don't have to agree with the herd on every single pop culture opinion.
it's true. It's true.
And I know a lot of people hate that song. Terrible song.
It is.
I like it. I like that
It is.
song.
It is. It's horrendous.
I toe tap. I sing it in the car. I like
Knee
that
deep in
song.
the hoopla. I can see you. I can see it. I can see it happening.
Corporation games.
Oh my God.
Call us irresponsible. All right. So you want to get right into
The
Juan
news
Soto's
and notes.
comments. And Ken Rosenthal from The Athletic featured the Padres quite heavily in his
Yeah,
Sunday
dude.
night
It was
column.
80% Padres
Yeah.
news and notes.
And why not? They're a fascinating team that's off to a very
he was
slow
here
start.
over the weekend, right?
Yeah.
And he had some FaceTime with Padres players. So we get some good insight on this team, even better than usual. I mean, we got great people who cover the Padres on a regular basis, but Ken Rosenthal has a way of maybe getting a little bit more just because he's Ken Rosenthal,
got a little more, maybe, I don't want to say access, because our guys go into the locker room every day. But yeah, it's kind of Rosenthal. I mean, there's
I think guys open up to him a little
I
bit
think
more,
so,
just
too.
knowing who he is,
Well, and
and his
they-
reputation.
and there's a chance, that he's around everywhere. He's around every team in baseball. He's probably talked to a lot of these guys like Juan Soto and stuff before. But yeah, man, I was a bit bummed. I got the news and notes last night, kind of right before bed, and I read them and I went, oh man, we're doing this. Okay. So look, just to kind of brass tacks it for everybody. I'm a Juan Soto fan. I believe in Juan Soto. I'm not ready to give up on Juan Soto at all. I think that's absurd. If you want to give up on him, he has not been here what we expected him to be. And that's a guy, Ben, really the home runs and lack of power doesn't really bother me. It doesn't. Petco's a hard place to hit home runs. That's been established, right? What I miss about Juan Soto is the ball into the left center gap. I miss the ball into the right center gap. I miss a fearsome hitter that you're like, there's no way I can get this guy out. The guy still walks a ton. His OBP is very good. The walk he took in the ninth last inning was quintessential Juan Soto. I don't know that anybody else in the world, except maybe Bryce Harper, spits on some of those pitches that he spit on and was able to get that walk. That being said, reading some of the comments, reading some of the articles that came out over the weekend really kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And they were talking about, Ken was talking to him about where he wants to hit. So every one of these players has a preference. You can ask them what their preference is. If you're Bob Melvin, you
Xander
can
Bogaerts, the first time we talked to him,
the first question
told us exactly what his preference
says
was.
exactly what he wants. He said, what did he say? He goes, you hit me anywhere in the lineup except for second. He goes, I like to hit first. I like to hit third. He goes, I don't mind hitting cleanup. He's like, I need to be able to get my numbers. I don't feel like I can do it in the 2 slot.
He was like vehemently
Yeah,
telling us, like,
he was like,
my numbers say
show.
I am not good in the 2
I'm not
spot.
good.
No,
in the
actually,
2.
they said, I think he said they are good. I said
they
my
are
numbers
good.
are good in the 2 slot. I just
really
really don't like it there.
That's what he said. He goes, I actually, the numbers are there. I just don't like hitting 2. So Juan Soto, last week it came out, Juan Soto would rather hit third because he gets to see more pitches. Makes sense to me. It totally makes sense. The way baseball is now, oftentimes you will see the team's quote unquote best hitter hitting in the 2 hole. If I was Bob Melvin today, I look at my roster and I go, well, my best hitter today is Xander Bogaerts. Xander has said, I don't want to hit in the 2. So already right there, you have a guy with your best numbers that doesn't want to hit in the 2. Juan Soto also doesn't like hitting in the 2. Bob Melvin's got a problem. He's got to massage a bunch of egos on this team, which, by the way, I have no problem with. You have to have an ego to be a big leaguer. You have to, or the game will eat you alive. I have no problem having an ego. None whatsoever. The stuff that he said, he was talking about in when he was in Washington, when, by the way, he was, as Paulie mentioned off the air, perennial MVP candidate. And the guy that we thought we were getting here, he's like, look, I understand that when Fernando Tatis Jr. comes back, they may have to hit me in the 2. They want 2 righties right behind me, so they don't bring in a lefty for me. I like the plan, blah, blah, blah. Then
if you're wondering, though, well, didn't he hit second with the Washington Nationals and do quite well there? The answer is yes. He often hits second with the Washington Nationals. And he said, the second hole, I can do it here with the lineup we have. I will be fine. In D.C., I was upset to be hitting in the second hole. I tried to tell manager Davey Martinez, he did what he wanted. Probably because Juan Soto was an incredible player when he was hitting in the second hole.
Yeah, and
so
he also said
he was good for the team, and he wanted to get him up more.
And get him up more. Just get him more ABs. That's kind of the logic to have him in the 2 because, hey, man, if we get down to it like we did last night, it's an extra AB for Juan Soto. So then he says this is what got me. He says, I've never been on a team more talented than this one. But I will never have more fun than I did in 2019. We had a lot of veterans. They knew how to have fun. No one's worried about going to free agency. They just went out there trying to win ball games. That's a shot. That's a shot, right? Like,
isn't he the only one?
He's the only one
besides Snell
and
then role players. Like,
yes,
he's the only key player that is
locked up,
looking at free agency.
Cronenworth is locked up. Manny Machado is locked up. Xander Bogaerts is locked up. All of these guys are locked
Joe
up.
Musgrove,
Joe Musgrove
Yu
locked
Darvish.
up. Yu Darvish is locked up. 80% of the team of the core is all locked up. The only guy that should be worried about going to free agency is Juan.
Maybe he hates Josh Hader.
Can I read this in a slightly different way?
Sure.
I and this may be a charitable reading, but since he's been here, it has been a constant stream of announcements of free agent extensions, contract extensions. It feels perhaps to Juan Soto, who has only been with the Padres for a few months. Really.
Yeah, not even a year. As I said last week, let's give him a year.
That all this team is about signing contract extensions. And when he was with the Nationals, obviously in 2019, none of that was going on. They were simply playing baseball, and they won a World Series. Of course, winning the World Series is fun. Of course, you had the most fun you've ever had in 2019 when you win a World Series. My guess would be that if the Padres won a World Series this year and all those contract extensions started to fade into the rearview mirror, the 5 or 6 of them they've announced since he's been here, it won't feel the same way to Juan Soto. But it might be kind of fair that it feels like, God, it feels like we just do all this business off the field. Let's focus on what we're doing on the field and have fun and be a team.
Well,
why is it all contract?
Well, that's all done.
Here?
It's all done.
It is now.
It's done.
It is now.
So now it's done. Tatis is coming back. He's locked up. All this big core is locked up. You're the last piece. And if you want to be here, then produce at a high level that we all know you're capable of. This isn't the only article that came out over the weekend with comments about Juan Soto. We can talk about the next one next.
Real quick here, I went back and looked. You guys were a little wrong.
Were we?
Here's what Xander said to us February 21st at spring training.
I mean, I don't mind hitting anywhere on the lineup, but just not second. And second is actually my favorite spot, but it doesn't.
There it is.
My numbers doesn't work out there, so I
likes
don't want to be
second.
in a position where my numbers aren't
He
too good.
He likes second, but his numbers
But he
aren't
can't
good,
get
so he
his
doesn't wanna
numbers
hit
in the
that.
two.
Which I love that. If that's your favorite spot to hit, I think how many guys would be like, that's where I hit. But he goes, my numbers aren't good there, so I'll have to just take the hit and not hit in my favorite spot because I want to produce.
So who's been hitting second the last few days? Manny Machado. And it's not like he's lighting up the world right now either, but credit to Manny that he's got these other guys who don't want to hit second. And so he'll step in and try to do for the team what he can do and hit second. But, you get a bunch of guys right now who don't feel like they're hitting where they want to be hitting or
Nobody, but see, the other thing too is your new girlfriend does not like when you talk about your old girlfriend and how much fun you guys used to have. You guys have learned that, right? Man, let me tell you, my ex-girlfriend, whoo, boy. Now we had some fun. We had some fun. She was a tomcat.
I've never had more
I've
fun
never had more fun
than when I was
than
with
when
her.
I was with her. It was special. You're all right. Pretty good. But my ex, woo, mamacita. That one knew how to have fun. All right. I mean, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to say? Man, we're gonna pull for you. We're gonna I hope you get every nickel that you're entitled to. Absolutely, I do. I love Juan Soto. I do.
You can't begrudge Juan Soto loving a world championship
No,
team that he was on.
nor do I. I think, and he was great. And I think what everyone's asking for is cool. Let's do that. Let's have that much fun. Let's rival that 2019 Washington Nationals team. Let's see if we can get to the same mountaintop.
And maybe they will. An 8-9 start isn't particularly fun.
It's not fun.
So, they shouldn't be having a ton of fun right now. If they were all yucks and laughs
Oh,
and didn't
we'd be
care about
livid.
an 8-9 start, we'd be livid.
Yeah.
So maybe it's good to know that no one's having a particularly large amount of fun through the first 17 games of this
It's
season.
a great point. I'm not done yet.
Okay. We're just getting started.
We
get 4 hours.
just getting started.
20 hours a week, actually. So we will we'll get to our Padres recap, our wrap up from yesterday's game. It's going to be short. My guess is maybe the shortest ever wrap up we've had because there really weren't any highlights in yesterday's game.
Yu Darvish, massive highlight.
Yeah, but
He was
if it's
amazing.
strikeouts, here's the pitch and strike three. Those are very short. So I'm thinking it's going to be a fairly quick wrap up of yesterday's 1-0 loss. We'll get to that coming up next. I'll guess on Ben Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Back with more Ben Woods on a Monday morning after this on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Now, it is possible, and I was just reading in the UT morning Kevin Acey newsletter, and I kind of agree with this as well. The fact that the Padres are 8-9, and both Manny Machado and Juan Soto have not even been, average baseball players offensively to this point of the season, is not actually the worst sign in the world. That the Padres can play 500 ball without contributions from their stars. Xander Bogaerts has been good, obviously, but you can't really win
of
games.
The four, you don't have one yet, and you haven't really seen two of those.
Exactly. And no team is going to play well when they're 2 and 3 hitters, and consistently those guys in one way or another have been their 2-3 hitters, are pretty much black holes in the lineup. And unfortunately, through the first 17 games, that's what those guys have been for the majority of those games. When your 2-3 hitters are black holes, you figure you're going to lose, 8 out of 10 most of the time, because most teams don't get production anywhere else in the lineup other than, those main power hitters. You're hoping for a little bit from the rest of it and those two guys to carry you, and they haven't. And the Padres have treaded water without that. It's almost a remarkably good sign in some ways.
That's a glass half full way to look at it.
Now, if Manny Machado and Juan Soto both have terrible seasons,
we're not going anywhere.
Padres aren't going anywhere.
Right.
And there's nothing we can do about it as fans. There's nothing AJ Preller can really do about it.
We ask the harder questions. Will that help?
I don't. The media, I'm not sure we can do it. The coaching
I
staff.
I was told that it would.
I guess the coaching staff, it's on them to fix those guys. And that was another thing that Juan Soto was actually talking about that I think he wanted to get to when he said to Ken Rosenthal, no one's telling me what I'm doing wrong or how to fix it. Everyone can see what I'm doing wrong, but no one's telling me how to fix it.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. There we go. Yeah, this was this Rosenthal? This was Casabell.
This one's AJ's. Okay.
AJ Casabell, I guess, asked the question. So there's an article in Sports Illustrated written by Noel Sanchez, and it says Juan Soto complains nobody's offering solution to batting struggles. He was asked if he was struggling with his batting techniques by MLB's AJ Casabell. He said, everybody's talking about what I'm doing wrong. Nobody's telling me what I'm doing to fix it. I can tell that they've been seeing it. I see it every day. I'm pulling myself this way. I'm trying to find a way how to fix it. So, you have a lot of hitters are creatures of habit. From again, I never hit at that level. I never even hit anywhere close to that level. But boy, have I talked to a ton of big leaguers about hitting. I mean, you can run down the list. It's one of my favorite topics to talk about. I've talked to pitchers about what they see in guys. I love it. There's nothing more fascinating about baseball to me than hitting. I've asked everyone I could possibly ask. Everyone says hitters are creatures of habit and they're creatures of comfort, and they want to feel locked in. The word that you'll hear most around a big league clubhouse is locked in. What do I got to do to get locked in? I don't know that you can put that on Scott Coolbaugh and Ryan Flaherty if you're a hitter of Juan Soto's caliber that has also said, I need to hit in this position. I need to hit in the 3-hole. All right, well, here's the 3-hole. I'm still not hitting. What am I doing wrong? I'm no hitting coach. I will never go to Twitter and say, oh, it's clear that his front side's flying open. He's stepping in the bucket. I can do that with my 5-year-old. He's never going to win. He hasn't won an MVP or isn't in the hunt for the MVP every year and batted 340.
It's such an interesting dynamic, though, especially with superstar players, because the coach has to start with the premise, Juan Soto, you're a way better hitter than I've ever been in my life.
Always.
And you probably know as well or better than I do. I can give you what I see, but ultimately
you have to make a change.
You're the one who's going to have to make the change, and you're going to have to be the one who knows that it feels right. Now, good coaches can still do that.
He had
those who can't, teach is the saying.
Sure.
Even Tiger Woods had a swing coach.
Yes.
Throughout his career.
Yeah.
I always laugh. I go, what are you going to tell Tiger
that
he can do better? But he did. He had a coach all the way through his career that may have helped. He changed.
Michael Jordan, LeBron. They have trainers.
They have trainers, shooting coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a difficult thing, and
it feels like it's it's always our job. Like, where's the blame? Who's to blame?
I think
And
it
all I
falls
know-
on the player, doesn't it?
I normally would agree with that, and I'm not disagreeing with it here. It's just all I know is I have seen Juan Soto for 5.5 years now, right?
Whack!
And he's
Whack!
been nothing but a perennial MVP caliber superstar baseball player. And for some reason, he came here. I can't wrap my head around the idea of, well, he's just not good anymore. He's washed up.
Hey, man, and I'll say this. Thank God he gets on base at an almost 400 clip. Thank God, because if he wasn't doing that and he was just K'ing every time, this would be a monumental disaster. Thank God he got on in the 9th last night. Thank God. And that at bat he put together was elite. It was an elite AB. I saw people upset he didn't hack at the first pitch, 94-mile-an-hour fastball down the middle. I disagree fully. I'm down a run. I need 2 to win. I got to take till I get a strike. It's Devin Williams. That you may not see another fastball. I understand all of that. He spit on some of the nastiest pitches I've ever seen, and he worked his way on to be the tying run. I cannot be upset with that. I can't.
If we're going to talk about yesterday's game, let's get into that, and we'll start with our Padres wrap-up right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by the San Diego County Sheriff's Department. Still clearing a stalled big rig from the 43rd Street off-ramp north on 805. Further north on the 805 on the Miramar Road off-ramp, there is a collision involving several vehicles. Also traveling westbound 56 Camino del Sur off-ramp. Accident involving a couple vehicles. That is over to the right shoulder. Getting reports of a collision on the coastline southbound 5. This is past the Aliso Creek Rest area. Solo vehicle accident. That is over to the right shoulder. The San Diego County Sheriff's Department is working hard to keep San Diego safe and is now hiring. The Sheriff's Department offers rewarding careers with growth and has an opportunity for anyone with integrity that wants to make a difference. Go to joinsdsheriff.net to learn more. That's joinsdsheriff.net. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's a shame if they lose.
Did you miss any of the Padres game yesterday?
Oh, it's been a great day today. Can't wait for more.
Oh, God, here we go. Jesus Christ.
Cancel the parade. That's why you play the games.
It's the Padres wrap-up with Ben and Woods.
Slam Diego? More like fail Diego.
Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino, fun above all else. On 97.3 The Fan.
I just felt the way that the roster is built, they would have to outscore their opponents to win.
0-2 on Tellez, trying to strike out the side here in the first. Darvish deals and the pitch swung on and missed. Strike 3. 3 straight swinging strikeouts to begin the day for Yu Darvish. First time in this series, the Brewers do not score in inning number 1. 3-2 to Anderson again, and the pitch is lined into left field. Soto over towards the line, gets there to make the catch. Mitchell tagging at third. He will come in and score. A sacrifice fly for Brian Anderson, and a 1-0 Brewer lead in the second. 0-2 to Anderson. Darvish, couple of looks back. Now the pitch, and a check swing on a ball down and in. They appeal. He went, and strikeout number 11 for Yu Darvish. Matches his high from any game last year. 3-2. They will go. Here's the payoff pitch, and Trent takes at the top of the zone. Strike 3 called, and the ball game is over. Devin Williams, an adventurous 9th inning, but his 3rd strikeout of the frame ends it, and the Brewers shut out the Padres by a final of 1-0.
It's disappointing. Shoot, I mean, game of inches. So, Nola's ball down the line looked like it might be fair. Anytime you get 1-0 game like that, where guys pitch like that, every little piece of it ends up being, maybe worth a little bit more than in normal games, in other games.
It makes me so sad. It really does.
We just don't want to hear it that often.
I know. I don't want to hear it.
Is the
I feel like we've
problem.
heard it way too often.
Way too much. Way too
All their
much.
wins are coming on like Friday or Saturday,
Yes,
and then they lose on Sundays. So we start the week with a losing Padres wrap.
I was talking to our boy Big Mark yesterday, and I go, dude, can they just win one on a Sunday, please? Like, if they had lost Friday and Saturday, be like, hey, bummer, but yesterday was amazing. Saturday was actually an incredible game, and that's what you want to see from the boys, putting up a ton of runs, and of course, off of their pitcher who had the best stuff by far. Peralta had the nastiest stuff of all. I mean, Wade Miley, for the love of God, Colin Ray. Good Lord, man.
It shows your bias, though. They were actually 2-0 on Sunday until yesterday.
Were
that
they?
was their first loss on a Sunday this season.
Were we off a Monday?
No, I think we've been on both Mondays. Yeah,
okay.
we've had victory Mondays.
That's recency bias.
Honestly, I got a lot of people tweeting me after that game saying, again, the Padres look lifeless and listless. And I don't agree with that take at all. I mean, I guess teams occasionally do look lifeless and listless, but it's such a go-to for especially fans when the team gets shut out that it looks like there's no effort.
Yeah, no life, no. Yeah.
And honestly, I think the cause of getting shut out and struggling on offense is so much more often, probably 90 to 100% of the time, it's because you're pressing and trying too hard, and not because you're not trying hard enough and you're just going up there. I don't care what happens. That is almost never the case with a Major League Baseball player. So the hot take that the Padres look lifeless, I rarely like to tell people that their opinions are wrong, but you're just flat out wrong on that one in my mind.
So.
I think it's more pressing. And the sign that until the ninth inning, the Padres didn't even walk against Wade Miley tells me that they're trying to do a little too much. The Padres game is patience and making pitchers work and drawing walks. And when you're swinging a bunch and, hitting a bunch of flyouts and
Randy rollovers,
ground outs and stuff, it tells me that you're actually trying. You want to make something happen so badly that you're getting out of your normal game, which is a lot of patience and trying to draw some walks, work opposing pitchers, get them tired, get to the bullpens. That's what the Padres do.
First inning was brutal, beyond brutal, beyond. First and third, nobody out, you don't score. It is as bad. That's as bad a baseball as you can play at that level with that team, especially with the guys you had coming up. It's as bad a baseball as you can play. That's inexcusable. Off of that guy, you have to cash in a run. And I don't care how you do it. I don't care, I say it all the time. Lazy fly ball gets it done, man. 1-0. And the Darvish run that he gave up was a joke. That's a joke. Again, here we have did you see the explanation?
I did.
The pitch calm issue. Learn, not an issue with PitchCom. I pressed the wrong button. Really, we're doing this.
So
let's figure this out.
So runner on first base in the second inning. Yu Darvish early in the at bat stepped off with 12 seconds, just a quick step off and step back on and threw the pitch. He wasn't aware if that was counted as he didn't throw over. He didn't time out. He wasn't aware if that counted as a disengagement. He then threw over later in the at-bat. So he's actually stepped off twice with I think late in the count, it was 3-2. No, it wasn't 3-2 because they wouldn't have called for a pitch out. With 2 strikes, Bob Melvin signaled for a pitch out because he knows there's 2 disengagements. There's a good chance that they'll be running. Let's pitch out and try to throw the guy out at second. Austin Nola tries to signal to Yu Darvish for a pitch out, but apparently the PitchCom system, there's only a few buttons, and with Yu, he's got a lot of pitches, so there's basically like a shift function where you go from the first screen to the second screen, and you're trying to do that quickly, and apparently when he tried to hit the shift, he didn't get it, and instead of pitch out, he called throw over to first. So what you heard was throw over to first, and you said, okay, I'll throw over to first, but that throw over to first became the third disengagement, which because of the new rules turned into an automatic balk, and the runner made it over to second base. Kind of understandable, especially early in a brand new system. And, it's one of the real difficulties with PitchCom. No one's ever going to be perfect in hitting those buttons. Just like anyone who plays video games knows. You can never get every single click right when you're working on a video game control pad, right? Paulie, you play video games.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to hit a button every once in a while.
Never.
It's a flaw with PitchCom that is never going to go away. And they had to deal with it, and it cost them maybe a game.
It's a new thing, so it's going to be exacerbated.
All right, we'll continue
coming
this
up next.
discussion
More
on 97.3 The Fan.
More.
Welcome back. Yeah, honestly, if we're blaming a PitchCom mistake or you, Darvish, for yesterday's loss, we've kind of lost the forest for the trees.
Yeah,
he was outstanding.
He was phenomenal.
Strikeouts.
Ace type performance. Just, I mean, he was so locked in the first, and you saw it. You're just like, oh, okay, one of those days. I mean, that inspires me if I'm an offense to go out and put up some runs. Was not the case yesterday. Don't know what the problem is, man. The ABs are you can pick it all apart. The AB by Grisham in the ninth. I can see it both ways. I really can. I thought yesterday. I thought yesterday, I'm watching that AB, and again, some really nice takes from Grisham. But to get beat, by 94 down the middle up is a tough one. That's a tough look. And and the thing is with Trent, he's been so good this year and he's being more aggressive. And so it's hard when you see a guy that is a little more passive when his new approach has been to go back to being the old aggressive Trent Grisham.
Yeah.
And it's paid off for
I
him
mean,
a little bit.
in Trent's defense, you're trying to get that game at least tied to extra innings.
Yeah, 100%.
And you got to 3 balls. A walk does it. And Devin Williams was getting fatigued. He had already walked 2 batters.
He's thrown 40 pitches.
Technically, he walked 3, but Nelson Cruz was, called out on a pitch that was outside the strike zone. So technically, he's lost the strike zone. So you don't want to swing at something out of the zone there. You don't want to bail him out when he is struggling and swing at his pitch. What frustrated me about that 3-2 pitch, though, is with Devin Williams, who is a great pitcher, you do know it's fastball or it's the airbender changeup that he throws. And it dips, and it's a great pitch. But where that pitch was thrown, whether it was a fastball or whether it was the changeup, even if it dipped, it was going to be a strike either way.
If he beats me on a changeup at my knees, tip my hat to
or
you, sir.
If he beats you at a fastball right at the knees, and
tip my hat
it's
too.
a changeup, don't swing, and it's like, it didn't dip.
3-2, he just paints
it's
the
right
edge
at
of
the
the
zone.
ball.
You tip your hat.
That pitch, though,
right there, man.
That pitch, if it's a fastball, you got to foul it off, and if it's changeup that he's hung up there, then you got to pound that and win the game right there. And so that pitch frustrated me.
Locked him up, dude. It locked him up.
Yeah.
It happens. Getting locked up. There's no worse feeling. And everybody in America going, 3-2, you got to be hacking. Yeah. And sometimes you get locked up, and he got locked up, and it happens, and it sucked. And I'm hardly going to put that game on Trent Grisham, though. For me, it's Wade. It's Wade Miley. It's Wade Miley. It's Colin Ray.
Now, he shut out the Mets as well. Wade Miley did.
Okay.
6 shutout innings against the Mets about a week and a half ago. So he's been throwing very well early this season, and the Mets are have an even higher payroll than the Padres do, and they're expecting to be in the postseason as well.
Yeah,
so
fair.
It's
fair. I mean, still, you had opportunities. We talked a lot about this season, Benny. The inability to really deliver kind of the knockout blow, and that's been really a calling card of this team, I think, so far. You have they get guys on the ropes. They had Max Scherzer, one of the better pitchers in the game. They had him on the ropes and just couldn't get. The eye is cut. We've used the boxing analogy before. Going to continue to use it because you get the guy cut and you just don't knock him out. You got to smell that blood in the water if you're the Padres, and be aggressive and try to knock these guys out early. It wasn't the case. I mean, they played so well on Saturday. You really thought it just goes to show you momentum carryover doesn't really matter in baseball as much as we want to think that it does. A team can get hot, certainly. Yeah, we saw what happened with the Rays. But man, like, you had an offensive explosion on Saturday, and then you came out on Sunday and you had 4 hits.
I think I've done this math right, and this is a pretty amazing stat. By the way, before we do that, we do need a contestant. We're going to play some Take on Woods here in a couple of minutes. You want to join us? 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Qualify a listener for a trip to Las Vegas. So call in now. Be ready to play in just a couple of minutes our musical trivia game. I think I saw this right. So the Padres are 8-9. In 7 of those 9 losses, they have failed to get a hit with a runner in scoring position. They're 0-7.
7 out of 9.
In the other 10 games, as long as they get 1 hit with a runner in scoring position, the Padres are winning 80% of the time.
Stands to reason.
8-2 when they get at least 1 hit with a runner in scoring position.
7 out of 9 losses. They're over.
Over.
Oh,
So when you look at the season, the runners in scoring position thing is pretty arbitrary in terms of overall in a long season. They've put a lot of study into this, and even the best statistical minds can't really find any correlation. If you're a good hitting team, eventually you will be good with runners in scoring position. If you're a bad hitting team, eventually you will be bad. But in short periods of time, a good hitting team can struggle with runners in scoring position, and a bad hitting team can just have a nice hot streak. And it has an outsized impact, as you can see on the results of the game. If the Padres get at least one hit with runners in scoring position in 120 of their games, which is, I think, quite reasonable, probably more than that, and they win 80% of those, they're going to have a phenomenal season.
Yeah.
If they have the unbelievable worst season ever with runners in scoring position and have 70 games where they don't get a hit, well, it's going to be a really disappointing year, because you can't win games if you don't get hits with runners in scoring position. But everything that I know about baseball tells me that eventually the Padres will get their fair share of hits with runners in scoring position, because pretty much every team in baseball history that hits does get hits with runners in scoring position. They just have had a lot of games where it's just not happening so far this year.
Yeah, too many, certainly. And it's one of those, how do you fix it? And I wish I knew. And I was DMing with a guy the other day, and I said, buddy, if I could teach guys how to hit with runners in scoring position, I'd be a billionaire. He goes, you'd be a billionaire? I go, yeah, I'd be an independent contractor for 30 Major League Baseball teams, and I would be a billionaire. If I had a foolproof method to get guys to hit better with runners in scoring position, I would be a billionaire. And I was talking to Bo about RB. He would have, what's an RBI mean? And I told him, and I said, it's the greatest thing in the world when you drive in a run. I know they're discounted now in today's game. Really, do we not want an RBI guy right now to knock in some of these runs? I thought we had him. I thought we did. This early in the season, we don't yet. There's a lot of stakes being left on the table right now. So I can't quantify it, Ben, and I can't tell you how to do it except to do it. There's nothing to it but to do it.
Still need that contestant for Take on Woods, 833-288-0973. And not only you can't do it, no one can do it.
Right.
Hitting coaches, professional hitting coaches can tell you how to hit. They can't really tell you how to do it with runners in scoring position. You can coach approach. Hey, be patient, wait for your pitch. There's a lot of different things, but ultimately over the history of baseball, nothing is really ever stuck. There's no one strategy that tells you how to hit with runners in scoring position.
So then you get your arbitrary comment. We just got one. Card Collector 55 says maybe quit trying to launch home runs with runners in scoring position. It may not be a good bad thing. It may be a smart thing.
Why do you think that's what the Padres are just doing?
They, in my opinion, they're just trying to barrel the ball. They want to get the ball to the outfield. They want to hit barrels. Sure, you can manufacture runs. There are all those things. I had a guy yesterday saying, why didn't Melvin bunt Soto in the first? And I said, Juan Soto in the first inning bunt, he wanted him to bunt. And I said, I don't know of a manager in baseball that is going to ask his 3-hole hitter who doesn't bunt to bunt in that situation to get guys over. That's why it was a new one on me, on your
try
old
to
pal.
Score Xander Bogaerts from third on a safety squeeze and remove the runner over to second. No, that makes no sense.
Yeah. Not in the first inning in April. I'm going to let Juan Soto hit his way out if it's me.
Maybe it's the bottom of the 10th,
playoff game.
Yeah.
I mean, even then,
even then, it's still a questionable decision. But if you're tied and you're just going for the win there and you feel like you can get it down, okay, fine. But yeah, first inning in April, you're trying to score multiple. You got 2 runners on. You got Juan Soto up. You're trying to score many runs that inning.
Yeah, he wants to hit that ball.
One run doesn't win the game that inning.
He was
5 or 6 might.
He wants to hit that ball off the wall. I don't think they're treating those approaches as home run derby. Like, I got to hit a home here. I don't think they are. I think what they're trying to do is hit the ball very hard somewhere to try to get the run in. And I don't know that they go up there looking to hit a bomb. I think they're going up there looking to hit a gap, hit a double, certainly, and keep the train rolling. But I think that's a bit of a I think that's a bit of a stretch to say, oh, they're always trying to launch the ball out. I think they're just trying to hit it hard. I do. I think they're trying to hit the ball hard somewhere and get the run in. But it is what it is.
All right. The return of Fernando Tatis Jr. could change the equation a bit later this week. We'll talk about that coming up. Also, an update on Joe Musgrove. And his progression seems to be going well. That is ahead, but right now, let's play some Take on Woods. All right, we got Guy as our contestant today. Guy, a previous winner. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right, Woodsy's left the studio. So to qualify for our trip to two to the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino and the tickets to Barry Manilow, you just need to beat or tie Woods in one of these three categories, Guy. Headliners, bands or artists with head somewhere in their name. L names, those are song titles that feature names beginning with the letter L. And our new category, Do the Do, all the musical answers built around do. You'll hear what I mean on that one. So headliners, L names, or do the do. What's it gonna be?
Head names.
Headliners. All right, yeah. 5 bands or artists, all with head somewhere in the name. Again, if you beat or tie Woods, we'll put you into the drawing for the 2-night stay at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. Barry Manilow tickets at the International Showroom. Check out Copacabana and Mandy, and you can get your own tickets at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. All right, 5 bands or artists with head somewhere in their name. You'll get 60 seconds. Pass if you don't know an answer. We'll start with our 2-second song. You'll need the name and the artist with head somewhere in their name, the title and artist to score that point. Guy, you know how to play. You ready to go?
Yep.
All right,
Let's
60 seconds on the clock in the category headliners. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Guy. Let's take on Woods.
Talking Heads, Burning Down the House.
Correct. Formed in 1985, which English band didn't release its first single, Creep, until 1993? Ian Kilmister, also known as Lemmy, was the founder of which prolific English rock band? MTV banned which Oakland band's video for Crashing Around You, which depicted falling buildings just weeks after the 2001 9/11 attacks?
Oh, I should have picked another category. Huh? Pass that one.
Which English actor had a surprise hit with his song for the musical Chess called One Night in Bangkok?
Man, really picked some good ones.
There's only so many bands or artists with head in their name. You did get Talking Heads, Burning Down the House. Creep is Radiohead. Lemmy is from Motorhead. The Oakland band banned by MTV is Machine Head. And the English actor with One Night in Bangkok is Murray Head. So just 1 point for Guy today. I'm pretty sure Woods is going to be able to get this one, but we'll see. We've seen crazier things happen in this game before. All right, you're going up against a Guy today. We will reset the 60 seconds. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Guy.
Burning Down the House, Talking Heads.
Correct. Formed in 1985, which English band didn't release its first single, Creep, until 1993?
Radiohead.
Correct. Ian Kilmister, also known as Lemmy, was founder of which prolific English...
Motorhead.
Correct. MTV banned which Oakland band's video for Crashing Around You, which depicted falling buildings just weeks after the 2001 9/11 attacks?
Pass.
Which English actor had a surprise hit with his song for the musical Chess called One Night in Bangkok?
Murray Head.
Correct. MTV banned which Oakland band's video for Crashing Around You, which depicted falling buildings just weeks after the 2001 9/11 attack?
Something Head. Head PE?
No, that band is called Machine Head.
Machine
But
Head.
a 4-1 win for Woods today in our category Headliners.
Headliner.
Bands and artists with head in their name.
I know. He's a deviant.
I'm just simply coming up with categories. It's not my personality that's being reflected
Shock
here.
Jock Higgins over here.
Bands that have head in them. All right. It's one of those words.
All right, we have
those words that gets
we
me
have so
every
many
time.
don't do this options that
Bro,
Woods doesn't even
you
know
can do
where
it.
to go.
You can do an hour. There's an hour. There's Russ. Russ last night. There's 100 of these. I don't know what to do. We need to parse it out. We need to do it soon.
All right, that's coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station.
We got popcorn on a plane. It just never ends with Don't Do This.
After a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Don't do this.
It's time for Don't Do This.
What were you thinking?
3 stories from the world of sports that make us all shake our heads.
Why? How many times do I have to tell you?
I'm sorry, I fudged up, guys.
You idiot. You moron.
Dumbass.
The apple sometimes does fall from the tree.
Don't Do This
Do not tweet that.
with Ben and Woods
I like a Nickelback song or two.
on 97.3 The Fan.
All guests on Ben and Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. I think we will have some time for some Padres fans to call in if you'd like to in our next segment. Get online now, 833-288-0973. Right now, though, time for Don't Do This. Woods, get us started.
All right, we'll get us started. Former Padre great Anthony Bass made some.
Great is a stretch, but that's fine. He's had a nice career. He had a nice career.
Still playing.
Still playing. Okay.
I believe. Yeah. Let me see. And pitcher Blue
He's stuck
Jays.
around for a while.
He's the
Yeah.
Blue Jays now. So he tweeted yesterday a picture of his cute little kid sitting in their chair on their iPads on a United flight. And he tweeted, the flight attendant at United just made my 22-week pregnant wife traveling with a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old get on her hands and knees to pick up the popcorn mess by my youngest daughter. Are you kidding me? And boy, did this thing catch some serious fire online. He got dragged a little bit. United got dragged a little bit. We were texting about it last night. I have, weirdly enough, a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. It is impossible. It's impossible. It's really, really difficult. I'm never one to judge another parent, honestly. I mean, unless you're a deadbeat. But I don't think Anthony Bass is a deadbeat. I don't think his wife's a deadbeat. But there was a substantial mess of popcorn underneath this little girl's chair. And people were like, well, who should clean it up? He's like, the cleaning crew. They hire a cleaning crew every time to come in. So I tend to fall more on I try my very best, even with a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. Jersey Mike's perfect example. Taylor makes that place. By the time we're done, I'm like, oh my God. I try to clean up the table, get rid of the garbage. The thing that bothered me the most, the context is important. He was not there. I'm 99% positive. He didn't take that picture, because if you took that picture, you get on your ass and clean up the popcorn.
You
Anthony.
might be a deadbeat.
Yeah, you might be. Here's the thing. I do fall in the camp a little bit of clean up after your kids and your pets. I do. I fall in that camp of it's my responsibility to clean up after my kids and my pets. You disagree?
I do. I think that the responsibility falls 100% on the staff of the airplane, and not because you don't have any responsibility for keeping your own area clean, but I've dropped things on a plane before, peanuts, whatever. I can't pick them up. There's no room. There's no possible way I can get under an airplane seat or in an aisle and clean things up myself. So if it falls, it falls. I've dropped my phone and had to wait for someone to get it for me, like under a seat, like at the end of a flight. The airlines are designed in such a way that it's impossible for you to really clean up anything on the floor yourself.
Now, to be fair, there's photographic evidence. There's not one piece of popcorn that's anywhere near even the middle of those seats. It's all on the aisle,
and
all of it.
And also, I will say that it wasn't that bad. There was like 9 or 10 pieces of popcorn on the ground.
So if it's not that bad,
don't they have a tool also, like a sweeper brush, where they just go in right into a thing? What, they didn't give her anything. They said, no, you need to pick them up piece by piece, hands and knees. A woman who's a passenger, a customer on the flight. Now, also, and everyone's dragging Anthony Bass for pointing out, he didn't show a picture of any of the flight attendants or call them out by name. He called out a corporation that makes all kinds of money to transport
the
people.
biggest don't do this.
That's the biggest don't do this, is tweeting about it.
I think someone should shame the airline for asking a passenger to get on her hands and knees.
He tweeted again last night. He said, thank you everyone for the support. United Airlines is taking care of matters with the flight attendant internally.
That's great.
So now this person's going to get fired because his kids made a mess by eating popcorn.
No, because they didn't do their job.
Just because you buy a plane ticket doesn't give you the right to be like, all right, clean up my ass, everybody. Right? Like, we're a polite society here.
I know that all
rules.
so hard to entertain kids on a flight. They've got some snacks. Some are going to fall on the floor. It can't be your responsibility to have to clean up every piece of debris that falls on the floor on a flight. You're paying a lot of money for that flight. I mean, yes,
So it gives you the right.
If your kids are simply hucking popcorn all over and no one's controlling them, fine. That's not what it looked like. It looked like they had popcorn on a tray. A few pieces fell down on the ground.
Yeah, a few pieces pick them up.
You walk off the flight. How? It's so hard. People are trying to get off the plane.
But it's also a kid sitting in the seat that you're cleaning under. It's not like it's a full-grown adult. The kid's feet aren't even touching the floor. Like you can pick it up.
I could.
Now,
I certainly couldn't get down there. And if
You're
she's
like
pregnant,
6'8".
she's 22 weeks pregnant. It's not that mobile. I don't know. To me,
EJ Serrano says, "Do you pick up the popcorn that you drop at a movie theater?" I don't. No,
why
I
not?
don't. I don't know.
Don't you drop popcorn at the movie? I've dropped popcorn at the movie theater. I don't pick it up. I expect the cleaning crew to come in afterwards and sweep it up.
He makes,
before the next,
he makes a good point. He's got
the
me a
next
little bit.
people come in. It's part of what I pay for as the service of going to a movie. If I'm not intentionally making some horrible mess for some minimum wage employee to clean up, and it's just a little bit of debris on the ground, that's part of what I'm paying
I feel
for
like
in my experience of the flight.
All right, here's the thing, though. If I took my kids to a movie and they threw popcorn all over the ground, I probably would pick it up. If I drop a couple of pieces,
if they
I
do it on
probably don't.
purpose, yes. I thought that was not an insane amount of popcorn. There's about 12 pieces of popcorn there.
it was a mess.
And Catherine says the airline gave her the popcorn. Yeah, they did.
But it was still her choice to give it to the kids.
Correct. I don't think there's ever going to be a winner and a loser in this debate. I don't. I think people are going to fall on both sides of this, which makes it an interesting story. I think the DDT, I don't like when people go and say, my food was late, and some guy loses his job.
He tweeted that specifically because he wanted somebody to get in trouble.
I think I tweeted about an airline. No, I didn't even tweet about it. Call the one thing that happened to me on an airline. Do you remember when you had kids, Ben, and you flew with them when they were young?
It's hard. Really hard.
It's really hard. What's the best bit about having kids on a plane? We are about to board. If you have small children, please feel free to board now with small children. We had Bo. He was 2 years old. Yeah, pre-boarding. We had 2 years old. We were in group 7. I had the kid. That is the get out of jail free card. That is the VIP velvet rope. And we walked up to the front, and lady's like, sorry, dude. I'm like, why? We have a small child. Sorry, no can do. Go wait your turn. I'm like, oh, really? Really? I wrote a very strongly worded email, but I did not go to Twitter. I did not rag them for that. What happened to the VIP pre-board 2-year-old? It went away.
I'll also say my take is I've never understood why people are so eager
to get on a plane
unless it's Southwest and you need to board to get like a window or an aisle seat.
I like being settled.
If I've got
you know why?
If I've got an assigned seat,
it's the luggage.
To get a spot.
It's the luggage. That's the only reason. And if you have a little kid, you do want to get him dialed in.
Otherwise, though, if I don't have anything that I'm carrying on, I'd like to wait as long as possible before I get on that little cramped tube. And then everyone wants to get off as fast as possible at the end. I totally don't get that.
All right.
My don't do this goes to, well, I guess it's Major League Baseball because of what happened on Friday night in LA. Cody Bellinger with the Cubs returning to Dodger Stadium for the first time since signing with the Cubs in the offseason, leaving the Dodgers where he was an MVP. And he comes up to the plate first time and he gets a nice round of applause from the Dodger crowd. Good for them. Thanking him for, even though the last couple of years didn't go well for Cody Bellinger, a nice applause of appreciation. He pauses, tips his cap, looks around the stadium while the home plate umpire docks him for a strike for not being in the box and ready in time to hit. Pitch clock violation on the hitter. He's down in the count 0-1. He'd end up grounding out on a full count. Now, Ken Rosenthal wrote about this as well. So umpires are permitted to grant additional time when a player is being recognized for a significant career achievement, statistical milestone, or in Bellinger's case, a return to his former park. Now, clubs are instructed to request approval in advance from the commissioner's office for orchestrated ovations. But
so the Dodgers have to go.
The Cubs didn't want to call Dodger Stadium and go, hey, we need that special permission because we think maybe Dodger fans will cheer for Cody Bellinger when he comes up the first time, but we don't really know if they're going to do so or not. But if they do, can you grant him a few 7 extra seconds to tip his cap to the crowd? Why can't the umpire simply look at the situation and go, obviously, and this was Jim
Umpires
Wolf.
timeout.
Why can't I obviously just say, let's just give it a second? He's doing a nice thing. The crowd is doing a nice thing. And umpire Jim Wolf decided, nope, can't. I have no leeway whatsoever. It's strike one on Cody Bellinger.
Yeah, it's going to be a thing. It's going to be a thing this year. I have a really good do this.
DD mega doo-doo.
Now, this is as visual as it gets. I'm going to do my very best to explain to you guys what happened in the Florida-Georgia college baseball game. I've never seen anything like this. So a Florida pitcher gets out of a big jam with a big strikeout, and he gives it the flex, like, let's go.
Like Joe Musgrove coming off the mound
like
after his no-hitter. Yeah, putting arms together.
Let's go. And walks off the mound, and the umpire throws him out. You're gone. Rings him for his excessive celebration. I think it's the very next inning, you guys. Guy by the name of Joe Caglione hits a grand slam.
The pitcher's teammate.
Who
had been ejected for excessive celebration.
Hits a grand slam. Runs around the bases. As soon as he hits home, his teammates are there. They're losing their minds. They're so excited. He puts his arms by his side like a robot and walks like a robot to the dugout and
completely emotionless,
and just slapping guys on the hand. But I'm not going to
smile. No facial expression.
Out. It's on my Twitter feed if you want to see it. It's the funniest celebration I've ever seen. Jack Caglione, I hope the Padres draft you in the first round. You are the level of petty that I want on this team. It's spectacular. It's the best celebration that I've ever seen, period.
I wonder if the umpire said anything.
Oh, what are you going to say? I didn't celebrate. I didn't even smile. I hit a grand slam. I didn't even smile. It was brilliant. And that's what I tweeted yesterday. And that is don't and do this.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, Tier 1s, you want to chime in on what's wrong with Juan Soto, the Padres offense through 17 games of this season at 8-9. I mean, they can barely see first place. Now, they're a full game and a half out of first place.
I know.
Hit the panic button.
I know. Season's over.
Padres fans, call us now, 833-288-0973. We also could talk about a fairly nice game that happened on Saturday with Jake Cronenworth going off and having one of the best games of his career. That is all coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Tell you what, El Paso is going to be very sad to see Fernando Tatis go. After 6 home runs in his last 3 games for the Chihuahuas.
What a freaking run, dude.
Insane, dude.
It was like every time he came up to bat, he was just hitting bombs.
Had a stretch where he went 8 for 8 with, what, 5 homers during that stretch over the course of 2 games.
And like 2 doubles?
Yeah, yesterday was only 2 for 5 with a homer.
I think I'm a true Padres fan now because I just bracing for the inevitable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Right? You know what I'm talking
about. Oh, yeah.
But he was so hot.
But it's inevitable that he always comes out on fire when he returns. It's two inevitables crashing against each other. Which one is stronger? I guess we'll find out on Thursday when Fernando Tatis Jr. makes his season debut. That's pretty much set in stone, barring, something unfortunate happening between now and then. The return of Joe Musgrove is still a little bit up in the air, but Joe pitched for the Lake Elsinore Storm last night in San Bernardino. Was really good for 5 innings and then went out in the 6th and gave up a couple of hits, and they pulled him out and some inherited runs scored. But for the most part, they said he looked very sharp, and Joe proclaimed himself ready to go. We'll see. I'm sure they'll wait and see how he responds a day later and look at him. But my expectation would be that we could see Joe this coming weekend as well in Arizona during that series against the Diamondbacks. He doesn't sound like he wants to make another minor league rehab start at this point. And if he was efficient enough, you could probably count on him for 5 or 6 innings. And that's really as good as any Padres pitcher has been doing until Yu Darvish went 7 yesterday. So ready to see Joe back in the game as well. And the return of those 2 guys, while it doesn't immediately fix everything that's wrong with the Padres, goes a long way toward settling some of the issues that this team has had through the first 17 games of the season.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll see, and but it's better than a sharp stick in the eye. Getting Fernando Tatis Jr. back in your lineup for the first time forever will be the first time Bob Melvin has ever actually managed him in a game that counts on Thursday, and really excited to see what he can do. I don't know that there's going to be a TV in San Diego or a radio not tuned to that game to see what he can bring when he gets back to the field. And obviously, I mean, he's locked in, as we talked about earlier, being locked in, very important for a hitter. Certainly is feeling locked in. Don't know who he's going up against, but the Diamondbacks playing pretty well. They got some good arms in their stable there, so he'll see a good one coming out of the chute more than likely. Hopefully it's Mad Bum. Is Mad Bum still healthy? Because there'd be nothing better than
these matchups never seem to be totally right a few days out, but according to ESPN's schedule later this week, it's going to be Ryan Nelson again.
Ryan Nelson
in the first game with a 6:40 start at Chase Field.
Cool. Let's get some phone calls.
Yeah, we'll get to some phone calls. I see some callers on the line. 833-288-0973. We'll do that right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Insperity. Got a traffic alert for this collision that wound up on Miramar Road. Right now, northbound side of the 805 at Miramar is blocked, as well as the westbound Miramar Road on-ramp to northbound 805. They're staying for at least a couple hours. We'll keep you posted on that. Meanwhile, no other trouble spots on our freeways at this time. Providing scalable HR services, access to better benefits, payroll, and HR technology for over 35 years. Insperity's mission is to help businesses succeed so communities prosper. Insperity, HR that makes a difference. Visit Insperity.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
I mean, because the Padres lost 1-0 yesterday, we kind of focus in on the hitting, and that's the problem. They did score 10 runs on Saturday. So there is the ability to put some offense on the board. Helps when Jake Cronenworth has an unbelievable game, 2 home runs, 6 runs batted in, career highs for Jake, and good to see him have a nice game after he had kind of got off to a slow start this season as well at the plate.
Yeah, I mean, that was exactly what the doctor ordered, man. That was exactly what the doctor ordered on Saturday. Nice kind of easy breezy game. Everyone contributing, and big game by Crony. Needed that one. He needed that personally. I was really impressed with that bomb he hit off that lefty. When they brought that lefty in, Milner, I think was his name, I go, oh God, imagine having to hit that coming from, parallel to the ground here at a pretty good velo. And he man, he stayed in there, kept his shoulder in, smoked that ball, 6 ribs for him. It was really, really great.
Bro, Saturday also had one of the scariest moments you'll ever see
Oh
on a
my
baseball
God, the
field.
jaw.
Holy
Manny.
crap.
I mean, as Manny hit a missile off that kid's face.
He was kind of like trying to avoid it.
Yeah.
And it looked like the ball might have hit his arm or
Little
shoulder
shoulder
and
first.
slowed it down
Maybe
a little
just
bit.
a
but
few
it kind of
miles
like
an hour,
rode
but-
up his arm and hit him right in the
I would have been
face.
fine. The gullet, my gullet would have protected me. That's what it's there for. Is it for hot comebackers?
It's like the dangler that
The dangler,
umpires
yeah,
used to wear.
yeah. That's exactly. I have a built-in one. I mean, we all do. Let's be honest. If it gets us here in our gobbler, we're good. We're fine. That's why I keep mine.
Also, a good job by the bullpen in that game. 5 1/3 shutout innings in relief of Seth Lugo. They came in, and that game was not. It ended up 10-3, but it was certainly not in hand early in the game, and the bullpen did a nice job of shutting down a potential threat. Bases loaded. Steven Wilson came on, and the Padres ended up getting some Brent Honeywell, and all the way to the end of that game. So,
Brent continues to impress, and love what I'm seeing.
but then
from
they
him.
come back and they score 0, and we're back arms.
I mean,
arms
that
up
was a
in the air.
great game offensively on Saturday. It was sandwiched between two of the worst offensive
It was.
performance.
And inconsistency has been an issue as well.
man.
Let's get to some of these phone calls. 833-288-0973.
Little therapy time.
Ed's
for
been
everybody.
holding on, ready to talk to Ben and Woods this morning. Good morning, Ed.
Morning, Edward.
Hey guys, how you doing? Hey, you know what? Half of us can tell a ball player what they're doing wrong.
Yeah.
Very few of us can fix it. That's why you hire a coach. So I think you guys are really wrong in saying that the coach really doesn't have an insight. He's paid to do that. A pitching coach is paid to do that. And I think Juan Soto is 100% correct. And I'm glad I listened to you guys this morning because that was an insight that I wanted to hear because I kind of felt that someone's not telling him what he's not doing right. And when he said that, and you guys said this morning, I go, you know what? There's a problem there. And I really see that.
Okay.
I felt that and I really see it. I see it with Manny too. I go, there is something you have got to be as a coach. You have got to be able to tweak things just like a pitching coach does. He's out there tweaking things and it's not happening with the hitters. And that's what I'm seeing. And that was very insightful of Juan Soto.
Well, I think we're on the same page. I think we both agree that a hitting coach is necessary, and I think that they can see things that they can't see. I think our main point was like Juan Soto when he was in Washington, he worked with arguably one of the best to ever do it in Kevin Long, and was very comfortable with the approach. And you even saw Xander Bogaerts in the same Ken Rosenthal article, who's hitting whatever he's hitting, saying, hey, I'm not really comfortable at the plate right now. Things are working out in his favor. He's like, I'm toe tapping. It's going to be in the hitter. The hitter has to get locked in and they have to feel comfortable. And again, there's the pitch clock issues that he's never had to deal with before. I know that. At some point though, see ball, hit ball, Juan Soto's too good to not be hitting barrels.
And
man.
Ed,
That's kind of the
I
point.
agree with you. And obviously, great coaches can make a difference. That's why they have coaches, and that's why some of those coaches are Hall of Famers. But it's never, even with the great coaches, it's never a straight line progression of, oh, Juan, you're doing this, try this, and then instantly, oh, you fixed it in one day. One offhanded comment fixed it. Usually, it's more of a start and stop. All right, try. Maybe you're.
Well, they talked about
you
it.
need to
Cool
get your,
ball,
you need
had
to
his
get your hands,
lower.
put it a little bit here,
Yep.
and then you'll work on that in the cage for a few days, and then maybe it clicks after a few days, and then you get locked in and you go on a run. It's not simply, oh, ball player X is struggling. You look at some film and you go, I see what you're doing wrong. Your shoulder is open too much when you're setting up. Turn it in, and instantly you become a 500 hitter. It's a progression. You work on it for a few days in the cage. You eventually start feeling comfortable. Then you kind of get locked in and you feel good about it. And who's to say that, I'm sure Juan Soto is working on a number of things. And my guess would be that the coaches aren't simply ignoring him and going, well, yeah, I can't say anything to you. You're not doing anything. They just haven't maybe hit on the right thing yet, or they have hit on the right thing and it simply hasn't settled with Juan Soto yet. It's the same way in golf. Anyone who's taken a golf lesson, you think the PGA Tour professional who is giving you a lesson, Woodsy, you've taken a bunch of lessons. How many of those tips that they give you feel correct on the first swing?
It takes a while.
It takes a while.
Takes a while. Yeah.
You know, you make any adjustment to a swing, it takes a while.
Well,
and then
and then
eventually you practice it and all right, now this feels better. But it doesn't happen overnight.
Well, and then, I start to dominate my lesson, go out to the range and can't do it.
I mean, Jordan
It
Spieth is one of the best players in the world. Just won, finished second yesterday, lost in a playoff to Matthew Fitzpatrick. He lost it for like a year and a half and worked on it and slowly got it back and slowly climbed back to the top 5 in the world. But it wasn't overnight. It wasn't instantaneous. Even for someone as good as that, who gets a lot of coaching and a lot of practice, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get locked in.
No, he makes a good point. He's putting the blame. But I think Ed was putting the blame squarely on the hitting coach. I'm saying basically,
well, if Juan
it's kind
Soto
of
was still hitting 190 at the All-Star break, you look at the hitting coaches. What are you doing?
It's kind of
17 games. I don't know that you can blame anybody yet.
Yeah, it's for me. It's kind of a mixture of both. You got to find what works. He knows what works. He's done it before. I'm not incredibly worried about him and his production. But it's certainly something to watch. I said it last week. I'll stand by it. Let's give him a full year here in a Padres uniform. He hasn't even had a full year here. Let's give him a full year and see what happens.
Let's go to Jeffrey. Jeff, you're next up on 97.3 The Fan with Ben and Woods. Good morning.
Hey, Ben and Woods. Good to talk to you.
Hey,
hey buddy.
Definitely hope that I'm wrong, but I'm seeing a lot of similarities between Juan Soto and Brian Giles, another East Coast guy that came to San Diego with high expectations, preseason MVP talk, all of that stuff. And, maybe just can't handle the pressure of playing in a pressure cooker like San Diego compared to those big East Coast markets. So
we are very tough,
that, and
as
then,
you know.
They both have that kind of weird uppercut, left-handed swing that might not be very conducive to playing well in Petco. I think that could also maybe be kind of a problem, but hope I'm wrong and hope he turns it around soon. So,
yeah,
thanks, guys.
we all do. I mean, I like the dude a lot. I would love him to just be what he was. I'm not expecting 45 homers from Juan Soto. I'm not, but
I could be wrong. I don't feel like Juan Soto is just hitting warning track fly after warning track fly. If you're saying the uppercut is just not playing because Petco's bigger and the ball doesn't carry as much, I don't know. Hitting hard grounders at the second baseman looks kind of similar in Washington as it does in San Diego. There's not a huge difference there. And that, to me, is what has been the biggest issue for Juan Soto, even last year, right? Just hitting the ball and pulling the ball on the ground too much.
It's an epidemic here in San Diego. I bought into the shift and all of that as well. Lack of shift. If you're going to rip balls at 106 miles an hour, they're going to find some holes. He's not.
And maybe he's getting a little unlucky too at this point.
I think his expected batting average is like 240.
So that's unlucky.
That's a little bit unlucky, but yeah.
I mean, most guys would love to be 60 points higher than they are right now. Would make a pretty big difference in their in their lives.
True. I'm not giving up on him. I'm not saying it's maybe the pressure also of turning down $500 million. That could be something.
Yeah.
You turn down $500 million and say, I'm going to bet on myself, and that bet's not going so well.
Now, the expectations, he was on a World Series winner already.
Right.
Expectations were obviously very high for that Nationals team. They got off to a really bad start that year, remember? And then, he kind of joined them later in that year and helped carry them through the playoffs. But Juan Soto performed well in the postseason for the Padres for the most part. So it's not like he crumbles under pressure.
Right.
I'm not seeing that. Let's quickly get Adam in here before the top of the hour. Adam, we get about a minute and a half. Go ahead.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Morning.
I wanted to talk Juan Soto, and it's like how passive they seem to be. Trent, obviously yesterday taking a called strike 3 to end the game.
Tough.
But for instance, I was at the game on Thursday, and the first inning, he's taking borderline pitches and kind of looking at the up after every pitch. Obviously, the ninth, Devin Williams is nasty, but he's just sitting there taking pitches, pitch after. My section at the game, literally in stereo, everybody's yelling, swing the bat. And it's I don't know if that's a mental thing or what. They're so passive, he's actively trying to get a walk, but you're supposed to be one of the best hitters in the game, man. Swing the bat. I'm just curious your guys' thoughts on that. It's frustrating.
It's tough, and I think I said a little bit earlier, if he swings at that 94 mile an hour fastball first pitch down a run and he rolls over to second base, we are livid. livid. It's just kind of those 101. If you do it one, you better yak it out of the yard. Honestly, like that's one of those. The risk reward is not great enough to hack first pitch. If you're talking about Juan Soto, I had no problem with his AB in the ninth. None. Is it a passive approach? Maybe, but he also he found his way on base, which is exactly what you need when you're trying to tie a ball game.
Juan Soto's selectivity is one of the things that make him such a great hitter. Do you really want him swinging at borderline pitches? Those are generally the pitches pitchers get you out on. When you swing, you're waiting for your pitch.
But you
just got to hit your pitch when you get it.
There's this, it's called selective aggressive. And my coaches used to say, you drive you crazy. Be selective aggressive. What does that mean? Stay within yourself.
Find out next on The Fan.
All right, we are halfway home on a therapy-filled Monday. I think it's great calls this morning. You know, get it off your chest here on Ben and Woods. That's what we're here for. I mean, it's good for me too. Nice to come in and talk it all over. We got our pal Jordan Schusterman from Grand Ole Barbecue, from Cespedes Family Barbecue, brought to you by our friends at Grand Ole Barbecue, coming up at 8:35. Always a pleasure to talk to those fellas. So dialed in on all aspects of the game of baseball. Always a fun conversation. Sammy Levitt's going to be in the house as well. May even stop by in person. Be nice to see him. I'm wondering how the quality of his phone calls have been on his post-game show after the last few nights. But I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. He's our executive producer. And Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well.
Got the 3 G's here in the second half of the program. Guests, you mentioned.
Yes.
Giveaways.
Yes.
Got some Legion tickets to give away later this segment. But next hour, your chance to win a pair of tickets to Padres Braves on Wednesday, the homestand finale. So stay tuned for that. And then the third G, grumpy Padres fans.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're hearing from this morning after a lesser than expected start to the season.
Not a great homestand by any stretch of the imagination. I again, stolen bases are murdering this team. Just killing us. Got us yesterday.
They're working on it. Bob Melvin actually said that Yu Darvish's time to the home plate was much better, just from what they've worked on the last few days. But, other teams are also, using, reading it, and they're going to still steal some bags. You get a good jump, you figure out some timing, and they got that stolen base in the second inning that led to the only run of the game.
I think it was in Ken Rosenthal's piece, too, talking about the Arizona Diamondbacks, who we will end up facing this week. Willy Adames and Xander Bogaerts were both talking. They both played the Diamondbacks this year. And they said, dude, both of them, to a man, said, dude, the new rules are here. They're exploiting the hell out of them in Arizona. And they said it really makes it a challenge to play shortstop against those guys. You have to cheat in a step or two, because if they hit a squibber, it's going to be tough to get them out. If there's a guy on first, you're really screwed, because you can't get back to the bag to cover. What the Diamondbacks are doing, the way that they built their team right now, at least, and I don't know where they're going to finish. I don't know if they have the guns to make it, to a playoff. But they're taking these new rules. They've built their team. I don't know if it's happenstance or that it was some big, we should get some speed guys in there. I don't know. It just may have worked out that way. But they're taking these new rules, and they're really Xander and Willy Adames. By the way, Willy Adames made some spectacular plays. He's a really good shortstop. He's like, they're so frustrating to play against. And I think now, if you're a San Diego Padre fan, you're watching other teams kind of exploit, and you're going, all right, when is our chance? Now, I think our chance to exploit some things arrives on Thursday. I do. I think he will be one of those guys that causes some serious fits for other teams. I think that's probably why you hit him lead off. If that dude gets on, Ben, the quality of pitches is going to go down to the next hitter. I mean, they're going to be worried sick about what Fernando Tatis Jr. can do.
You've brought up what is really my secret fear this season for the San Diego Padres. This season in which they are going for it, that we have such high expectations. And that is the book of baseball has been written over a century and a half, essentially, and very little has changed. And when there has been changes, it's kind of developed slowly. Analytics, seeping their way into the game over the last 20, 25 years. Things have changed, but the pace of that change in baseball is always fairly glacial. There's no book on these new rule changes, how the pitch clock, the disengagement rules, the bigger bases are going to affect the game. Will it be significant or will it be minor? And as we went into this season, I thought there's going to be a couple of teams that, like the Arizona Diamondbacks, are going to kind of go all in and see if they can exploit those rules. And it may backfire on them, but it could pay off, and it could be the model for success. We could be, in 5 years, every team is going to try to build themselves the way the Arizona Diamondbacks have, because it's shown that in this new era of the pitch clock and the bigger bases, that's the best way to win. And the Padres will have built themselves a completely different way. They'll have built themselves how to win before the new rules and the pitch clock. Now,
big fear.
I don't know that they'll have that big of effect in the long run, and maybe we're, seeing some adjustments here early on, but I don't know if it is a big impact and it changes the way strategies and teams are built, the Padres will be very ill-equipped to, change on the fly their strategy.
You never want to be behind the curve.
Is it possible? I guess I'm just like searching all areas for reasons and excuses.
No, that's what we do.
Is it possible that the pitch clock, we've talked about how Manny feels about it. A lot of hitters have commented on the pitch clock. Is the pitch clock giving the advantage to the pitchers?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, 100%.
Like, it's more important that the batter has time to get set and get ready for the pitch.
You cannot slow the game down when there's a clock. And that's what a hitter, especially like Juan and Manny, they've said it. And at some point, you got to adjust because it's not going anywhere. But you're right.
You think about it in football,
you
the
can't
defender,
slow the game down.
The cornerback is always at a disadvantage because the wide receiver knows exactly what route he's going to run. The quarterback knows what route he's going to be throwing.
I've said it before. It's the worst position in professional sports is cornerback. There's no worse.
I think it's
safety's fun. You can roam. You can get a big
pitcher knows what he's going to do. Catcher knows what the pitcher's going to do. Batter is being rushed to try to figure it out.
Sucks.
Adapt or die.
I think we've seen it both ways. I think it's individual. Like everything, though, in sports, it's a zero-sum game. Everything is going to maybe positively affect someone and thus negatively affect someone else at the same time. I think the pitch clock has helped or hurt Blake Snell. So far, I think it's hurt Blake Snell.
I thought it would help.
I thought it would too, but so far it's hurt Blake Snell. Do you think it helped or hurt the Padres and Yu Darvish yesterday when they couldn't get the pitch sign, the pitch comm in? It hurt. So sometimes it hurts the pitcher. Sometimes it hurts the batter. Sometimes it helps the batter. It's a zero-sum game, though, and it has some sort of effect. So, again, my fear is I hope that the sum of these little changes aren't going to be hurting the Padres batters. Right now, it feels like it's hurting Juan Soto, who can't quite get locked in at the plate. Maybe hurting Manny Machado, who likes to take his time and has always been a languid player. I like that word.
Languid's a great word.
In Major League Baseball. But I feel like it's also hurting Yu Darvish a little bit. He pitched great yesterday, but in terms of a guy who works a little bit slower and has to adjust, it's hurt Blake Snell, even though you think it should help. Obviously, mentally, it's caused a challenge for him early in this season. Everything in the new rules right now seems to be hurting the Padres, not helping.
Is there a rule that they have to use pitch comm? There's no rule.
No.
So don't use it.
Okay, so then what if he puts down a curveball, but the pitcher wants to throw a fastball?
You shake them off like
okay,
you've
then
done
he puts
for
down a
150
slider,
years.
No,
and you say you don't want that either. And then you shake it off, and then the clock hits 0, and you have just committed an infraction.
They've got 15 seconds?
You've got 15, and then, but by the time that's 15 from the time you catch it from the catcher. So by the time they stand on the mound, it's like 10 or 9. You put one sign down, you shake it, you're at 6. You put another sign down and shake it, you're at 3.
Need a little more time.
I mean, there's just
I need
not
a little more time.
There's not enough time anymore to really use traditional signs.
Games are ending an hour and 58 minutes. You can give 10.
I agree.
You can add 10 more seconds.
I think at least 20 and 20.
20 and 20 is
fine. And that's what Bob Melvin wanted. That's what
20
that's
seconds.
what Jake Cronenworth told us that he wanted. I would like them to make that change rather quickly. I don't want to wait for an entire season of this, because if pitchers don't want to use the pitch comm, they don't want to.
You know what's funny?
The season should not be determined on who's best in pushing those buttons.
You know what's funny though, from a hitter's perspective, you used to, you're hearing it on every broadcast now, national, local. Man, so Juan Soto is he's using his timeout here. Manny's been doing it at this time. Now, when I'm walking up to the plate, if I'm Manny Machado or I'm Juan Soto or really any hitter, instead of thinking about my at bat, I have to now think, when am I going to use my timeout? Am I trying to be strategic about it? It's one more thing I got to think about instead of going up there and trying to do damage,
And
barrel a baseball.
It sucks, but the guys will adjust.
Yeah,
they will.
Yeah, they will.
When the shot clock was, integrated into basketball, guys were like, I got to worry about the defense. I got to worry where my guys are at. Now I got to worry about this damn shot clock.
Right. They
will adjust. It just sucks to watch right now.
Ultimately, the more talented players almost always rise to the top. Now, I think we are seeing that teams filled with younger players who have been in the minors in the last couple of years.
Oh, they're dialed in.
Which they have already been working with the pitch clock, and some of the new rules are adjusting much quicker. Like, look at the Diamondbacks. These guys are not having nearly as much of a trouble with it. The Padres are a team built with guys who have been in the major leagues for many, many years. Most of these veterans are having to learn. And a lot of them had to play in the World Baseball Classic. So they didn't even get much of spring training to adjust. So they are behind the curve. And there's not really much the Padres or their coaching staff could do about that. They can't force experience on players. Maybe none of the Padres should have competed in the World Baseball Classic and simply should have stayed and worked on the pitch clock and timing and everything, and they'd be better off. But that's
ship
that's
has
in the past
sailed,
now. That ship has
yeah.
sailed. It may take them another few weeks to get going. And if the Padres hang around 500 and then get locked in and play really good baseball in the second half of the season, everything's going to be okay. So at 8-9, again, I'm not going to panic yet.
No, I mean, and again, it's kind of a rallying cry. Let's peak in October, and not worry about peaking in April. While it would be nice, and while you want to see the fruits of Peter Seidler's money and labor from AJ Preller to build this roster, you want to see that come to fruition. It just hasn't yet. And again, it's not devastating. You're a game under 500. It's not the end of the world at all. We should be enjoying the ride a lot more. I'm not enjoying the ride. The ride is harder to enjoy this year, I will fully admit. But it is the nature of this game.
Yeah, you don't want to get 10 games behind the Dodgers.
No, you don't.
But you're not. You're a half game behind. They're 500. The Diamondbacks are 9-7. You're a game and a half out of first place. As long as you're within, touching distance of the top of the division, I think there's no reason to worry yet for the San Diego Padres.
Anybody on the line? All right, good. If you want to get stuff off your chest, you can. This is the forum for
We
it.
actually are giving away some tickets right now, though. So if you want to call in and win a pair of tickets to the SD Legion game against the Houston SaberCats later this month on April 30th, and the Legion, maybe our hottest local team. They improved to 7-1 yesterday with a win over the Chicago Hounds, 48-24. Check them out at Snapdragon Stadium. Be the third caller at 833-288-0973. If you haven't been to the stadium yet, this is a great opportunity to go check out a new sport, little rugby, and cheer for a winning team and see Snapdragon Stadium. 833-288-0973. Tickets are on sale at sdlegion.com if you want to get your own. We'll come back with more Ben and Woods. Stick around on San Diego's #1 sports station. Checking traffic right now on 97.3 The Fan. Breaking news on 97.3 The Fan is presented by BetQL. Smarter bets. Let's start with BetQL. Download the BetQL app or visit BetQL.com today. And we have a huge signing in the National Football League. Jalen Hurts has become the highest paid player in NFL history. A 5-year, $255 million extension with the Philadelphia Eagles. After leading the Eagles to the Super Bowl, he will be paid $51 million a year, which is more than the, I believe, $49 million a year that Aaron Rodgers makes, and puts him right at the top of that group. That also still stunningly includes Deshaun Watson as one of the 5 highest paid quarterbacks in NFL history as well.
Congratulations to Jalen Hurts. Well done, sir.
Still don't understand what the argument is and why the Ravens can't get a Lamar Jackson deal done. You could say, well, you're worried about injuries because he's a quarterback who likes to run the ball, as is Jalen Hurts. No problem there with the Eagles making him the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. But Lamar Jackson continues to wait to try to get his deal done with the Ravens.
Indeed.
It's a big story. It's a big football story.
Yeah.
We can mention big football stories here.
Congrats to Jalen Hurts.
All right.
Question.
Yeah.
Be honest. Were you watching the Lakers over the Padres the other day?
No, I didn't watch much of the Lakers. I was at the game on yesterday. You mean Sunday?
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
No, I was in the press box.
Oh, you were?
I
didn't know that.
Matt Scraby was sitting next to me and had the Lakers being updated on his laptop, but I was actually at the Padres game. So
I didn't know
not
you went
get
to the game
see
yesterday.
Much of the Lakers game.
Did you go Friday?
I went Friday as well. Left early.
Yes. When did you leave?
Like the 4th inning.
Same. Azokar hit the double.
Yeah,
and
it's
I
a
was
long
walking out
week,
the
and if
door.
it's not going well, I'm not sticking around.
We haven't
too much.
talked about Friday night's game.
We made it 5 innings.
Yeah.
So we left our seats, trip down to the team store,
Sure.
lap around the
Knock out
stadium.
some errands a little bit. Yeah.
It's all of a sudden,
Grab a bite to
that's
eat.
the bottom of the 6th as we're walking out. Okay.
Those are rough
Probably
ones.
okay.
I was there with my son, Jack. We decided to go get dumplings on the way home instead. It was great.
Sounds
It was
delicious.
delicious. It was fun.
You made
We stopped in Kearney Mesa, went to Dumpling Inn, and had some XLB and some pot stickers. It was very nice.
that. I think you made the wise
I
decision.
did. I felt really good about it. Now I thought, all right, if they come back and rally and win,
I'm an a-hole, but
I'm
it'll
also
be
gonna
awesome.
I'll be happy that they won, and I'll still have dumplings in me.
We
so.
were already, I mean, it was not long into the game, probably still the top of the 1st inning, where I looked to Megan and I go, so what do you want to do tonight? Like, our night's going to open up here pretty soon, it looks like. Do you want to go out to dinner? What do you want to do? Because Waka did not have it. He didn't have it. It was clear as day in the beginning of the game. I mean, he was throwing, I was like, is he tipping his pitches?
Everything was up.
They were hitting
double
lasers.
double
Murdering.
Home run.
Yeah.
Rowdy Tellez, 2 home runs.
He's
this year?
Rowdy.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to not see Rowdy Tellez's face. How many bleeders did they hit against us this weekend? Too?
Yeah,
We
I mean,
can't buy a
their
bleeder.
BABIP was insanely
Oh
high
my
this
God,
week.
man, just insane. The highlight of the night, of course, Brandon Dixon coming in, throwing a 7-pitch scoreless inning. He topped out at 48 miles an hour. It was incredible.
And his reward was getting sent down to the minors.
Yeah, Eric Lauer. We had been fearing a dominant Eric Lauer and a dominant Eric Lauer. We did see. Ben went. What did Lauer go? Solid 6 innings of 1-run baseball for Milwaukee, and that was a tough one. And we dragged both kids out there. They were both miserable, cold, bitchy, the whole thing. So it was really a fun one. Great night at the ballpark on Friday for the Woods fan.
I mean, I know it's a bit spoiled if you go to a game and it's not going well and you just hit the ripcord and you leave, but I would have just felt tortured if I was still sitting there in the 7th inning and they were getting clobbered. So
I typically avoid Friday night games just because I'm so gassed by the end of the week, and bringing the kids out is a whole different experience. You get them their food and they'll watch for a bit. And, we were able to sit, we had pretty decent seats. We were watching Manny. I was kind of showing Bo, watch his foot, where he throws, watch where he lands, watch how he manipulates his glove, which is really fun for him because he really loves that guy. And loves playing infield. So that was fun, man. That was about the highlight of it, though. Just batting practice in the first for Walker. I expect him to be better. He does too. He's been so good. He was so good his first 2 starts, and make an adjustment and work down a little bit. And I think he'll be better. But yeah, that was a total clunker. It begs the question: would you guys rather have that one on Friday than you never want a bunch of either? But if you're going to take an L, wouldn't you rather have the Friday night than yesterday? Yesterday was like being at the dentist for me. Yesterday was like, oh God, we're so close. I'd rather get bodied. I swear to God, I'd rather
There was
get
at
bodied.
least some good yesterday. I mean, if you had tickets to either game, Friday there was nothing
There was
good.
nothing
nothing
good.
I agree
worth
with
seeing.
Paul.
Sunday,
mean,
you at least watched Darvish
you
strike
got to
out
see
12.
True. But doesn't that make it worse?
Darvish.
Doesn't that make it worse? He had a brilliant start, and you couldn't scratch across 2 runs
I mean, it
or
makes it
even
more,
1.
It makes it more frustrating, but it was still a much more entertaining game than
Yeah,
Friday's
it
game.
was more entertaining.
You had drama at the end. You had the bases loaded.
I just have
And
always.
By the way, everyone who says the pitch clock saps away all the tension at the end of the game because he goes too fast felt pretty tense to me. In fact, if anything, I thought the pitch clock added a little bit to the attention as I was looking at Devin Williams getting down to 2-1.
Yeah, to 1
going,
second.
Oh, if he doesn't throw the pitch here, he's going to force in the run. It's like I was at the edge of my seat at the end of that game yesterday. Yeah, I'm really frustrated that they lost that game and I couldn't just flush it as easily as you could on Friday. But no, I'd much rather go to a close, well-pitched 1-0 game than go to a blowout loss.
What to watch though at home? Like you just put your feet up. Yesterday was excruciating. It was like getting teeth pulled. It was like being at the dentist, getting a crown put on or getting a cavity filled. I mean, that was excruciating to not be able to scratch out a couple of runs for such a great pitching performance for you, Darvish, yesterday. So sure. I mean, if you like great pitching, you had it yesterday in you and I guess Wade Miley as well and the rest of the Brewers bullpen. But man, that was a tough L. That was a tough L yesterday. Friday didn't bother me. You're going to have clunkers like that. It's Michael Wacha. It's all kind of gravy with your 5 and 6 starters at this point. But man, when you have your ace on the bump, that was tough. That's a much tougher L for me than Friday's was.
Speaking of great pitching, we're supposed to be seeing Shohei Ohtani right now. A very early start on a Monday. It's Boston Marathon Monday.
Yeah.
And they have an 8:10 a.m. first pitch, 11:10 Eastern at Fenway. But they're in a rain delay, apparently, at Fenway
are they?
Park. So they have not started yet. Top of the first inning. Leading off for the Angels is Zach Neto, who is the shortstop. Who they called up from the minors. And 19 years old is going to bat leadoff in his very first game here on Boston Marathon Monday. But I don't know how bad the rain is or what the expectation of getting it in.
That's pretty cool.
But
man.
it's
19 years old.
Shohei on the mound against Brayan Bello for the Red Sox here on Marathon Monday. So if anyone looking for some early baseball, keep an eye on that if they actually get it started at Fenway Park.
That is pretty cool.
It was who else called up one of their young prospects?
Beatty
The Mets.
got called up for the Mets.
The
third
Mets called up
baseman.
their young third baseman as well.
Their third baseman right now is Escobar, and I believe at last count, now Italian Paul would be able to fill me in a little better on this, but I saw could have been 4 days ago, could have been a week ago. He was hitting like 089. I guess I could go look it up right now on the internet. It's not that important to me, but that's why you call up Brett Beatty, I believe is his name, and he is supposed to be really, really good. The Neto kid, though, it's pretty neato. I want to see a 19-year-old
Neto Mosquito.
Now he's got this. You'll see, Ben, if he does get an AB today, he has got this like Joey Bautista leg kick that's gnarly, and you watch it and go, man, like, is that going to get exploited? But he's apparently the real deal. So I'm excited to see that.
I think it's funny the weird batting stances. Jesse who was it? Terang. He's got his hands up and wide open stance. And I'm thinking in my mind, well, that's just like his manager, Craig Counsell,
had the weirdest of all time.
And then Bob Scanlon goes, well, it's kind of like Craig Counsell's manager. And Jesse goes, yes, that's what I was thinking of. It's a very Craig Counsell-like stance. And then speaking of minor leaguers, you see this Japanese minor leaguer named Trevor Bauer, who had a good outing over the weekend as well. Do you think that
football and a Trevor Bauer update?
I mean, he's pitching in Japan now.
What are we doing here?
What are we doing
Well,
here?
I mean, do you think does it matter?
No.
It's not going to matter if he pitches well in Japan. You don't think a team in the United States will see good results and say, let's give him a shot, or no?
Padres, please win tonight.
I would love to
begging
answer
you.
your question, but I think we have to go to break.
I am begging
because
them
of
to win tonight.
Clock integrity is very important.
What
and it is right on the nose.
What the hell is going to happen tomorrow if they lose again? Oh my god!
I'm not saying the Padres should be that team,
right?
But that's why he's doing it, right?
Sure.
In
We
the
are
hopes
one
of
loss
getting
away
back to
from
the-
Mount Rushmore and power rankings.
Let's dive into the NBA.
All right.
Holy heavy tomorrow.
We'll come back. Jordan Schusterman from Cespedes
Thank
Family
God.
Barbecue will join us on a grand old Monday. Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. At least we're not taking on the Rockies because I thought we pulled this out. Is that just when Colorado's in town?
This is Charlie Blackmon.
Charlie Blackmon
Lovin.
tortures the Padres.
Correction on the young man for the Angels. Zach Neto is 22. He's not 19, 22.
Old man. He's almost as old as Juan Soto.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We forget how young Juan Soto still is.
24, right?
Yeah.
Man.
It's crazy.
Young man.
We'll talk some more baseball coming up here. It is a Cespedes Family Barbecue Grand Old Monday here on Ben and Woods.
This cat played on Saturday. It's 0 for 4.
Oh, so he has he's
not
already
his
had
debut.
it's not his debut. I saw him call him up this weekend, but they are going to get that game started. They said at 9:05 this morning.
Cool.
Angels and Red Sox with Ohtani on the mound. We'll talk with Jordan from Cespedes Family Barbecue after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Going to find some traffic control in place around Miramar Road exit off of northbound 805. Also westbound Miramar to northbound 805. Just give yourself a little extra time if you need to pass through that area. Fortunately, that's the only real problem spot on our roads this time. Crash did clear up on the eastbound 8 before 2nd Street, so you might still see a little residual slowing there. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, now we go to our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline, and joining us on a Monday, we had Jake last week. We got Jordan Schusterman this week from Cespedes Family Barbecue, brought to you by Grand Old Barbecue, North Park, Flynn Springs, at the ballpark. Great brisket. I love their brisket. Jordan, good morning to you.
Oh, great to see you guys. The Brent Honeywell All-Star season is underway, and I am in a great mood.
He has the as what certain baseball players will say, he's got the ass, the red ass. And I like that about him. I like that in a player a lot. He does, man. He gets fiery out there on the mound, and the results have certainly been there so far, Jordan. Great call on telling everybody how much they'd love Brent Honeywell. So far, so good.
Yes, no, it's been, I know I'm super duper biased as someone has known him for a while. I know Jake talked a bit about him last week, but that has been a bright spot in a weird start to the Padres season, but I'm not panicking yet. I don't know where you guys are at, but it has been a little bit of a strange start.
Yeah, everyone's we're full on.
I mean, Bob Melvin doesn't know what he's doing.
Right.
Juan Soto is washed up.
He hates it here. What else? We can't throw anybody out. Now that's the truth. I mean, they're running rampant on the San Diego Padres, and it's hard to kind of put your finger on why it's all going wrong so far. But again, one game below 500, hardly a cause for massive panic.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of that, and it's not like the Dodgers are looking amazing either. I know their run differential is much better, and really excited to see this series with Arizona coming up soon for the Padres. But yeah, I think it's easy to just hope that the roster on paper is going to be as good as it is. And some of these injuries are clearly, or maybe more important than we maybe thought. We know Tatis is coming back. That's exciting. But Musgrove too, like I know some of the starting pitching has been good. Lugo's been solid, but I feel like Musgrove really sets the tone, and not having him around is a little unfortunate.
You mentioned Tatis coming back. Let's get a non-Padres fan opinion here about what kind of reception that Fernando Tatis Jr. will probably be getting. His first few games are going to be on the road. What's it going to be like for a guy who, even when he was on the road, tended to be the most popular player in the ballpark for his first couple of seasons?
Yeah, well, first we should just acknowledge, seems like he's figured out the AAA level. He's still way young for the level.
That's true. Yeah, he was the second youngest player, I believe, on the El Paso Chihuahuas this past week.
And this is his AAA debut. So, not necessarily a circuit he was really familiar with, but it seems like he's got that figured out, which is great. To your real question, which is, I think this is something we've all kind of wondered. I think we know it seems like Padres fans are eager to welcome him back. I'm sure that is going to be even more so when you consider the start that they've been off. It's like, oh man, now Tatis is here. Now we can start. I do think he is going to get a good amount of boos. I don't think it's going to be like Astros level, but I do think that we've seen, and we talked about this on our podcast, like there are people, certainly opposing pitchers, that are still upset about it. And I think that's fair, and I think that I'm almost as curious to see what the opposing players' responses are going to be to him as much as I am the fans, because generally opposing fans, if you give them any reason to give them to boo an opposing great player, they're going to do that. And so Tatis was one of the rare ones, as you mentioned, was so popular everywhere. I think a lot of younger fans are still going to be just excited to have him back, but I can't imagine he will be as warmly received as he was before his year off, shall we say.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Talking to our pal Jordan Schusterman from Cespedes Family Barbecue. I'm looking at the MLB standings right now, and leave the Padres out of it. It has not been the start we had all imagined or hoped for, but I'm looking through here, and I knew that there had been some team scuffling, but I guess I wasn't. I mean, the White Sox perennially every year pick to, hey, man, this is going to be the year they've got big, burly man pitchers, and those guys can battle through. They've got some elite young talent. They're 6-10 right now. I look at the Houston Astros, maybe a little of the hangover scenario for the Astros. They got bodied last night. They're 7-9. I look at the Phillies are 6-10. Now, those are all playoff teams, as were the San Diego Padres. Any residual hangover effect for those guys?
Yeah, and you could definitely point to some key injuries, certainly with Houston as well as Philadelphia in the early going. At the same time, like especially for Philadelphia, like you don't have time to complain about injuries. Like you are, if you have any, you guys are about to see, you already saw them a little bit. Like if you have any hope of being in the same league as the Braves, then you got to start going pretty soon because they aren't going to be slowing down. And you can say the same thing about the Mets, who have injuries too, but have still been playing pretty well. So of those group, I would say the White Sox are easily the team I am most worried about. They're also the team I was the least high on coming into the season. But that's a team that just does not have the same kind of verve that it once did. And they already are injured again with Tim Anderson going out. I would mention, so one of the most interesting parts about their season is coming into like, how do they replace Jose Abreu? Well, Jose Abreu has been horrible for the Astros. And I don't believe that will necessarily last, but that hasn't exactly been the problem. And yet they are just so disjointed. I am optimistic they can at least get back in some sort of situation where they can maybe be more than 500. But when you see how well the Twins are playing and you see how much you can trust Cleveland, Chicago's just in for a rough one. Their pitching has really, really, really been bad. So I would say Houston not too worried. I would say Philly's worried in the context of their division. And I think the White Sox are probably a non-factor, but that may have been true to start the season anyway.
Well, and conversely, the other way, some teams that weren't picked to have hot starts actually have. The Pittsburgh Pirates. Did you guys realize the Pittsburgh Pirates are 9-7 right now? Did you realize that our beloved Skip Schumacher's Marlins are 8-8 with Sandy Alcantara getting bodied a couple of times? It's really... This game is weird. It's really hard to handicap. It's really hard to pick. It's really hard to bet on. Take it from me, because you just literally never know what you're going to get. And it's fun. It's fun to me when the Orioles are playing so well. It's fun to me when the Pirates are playing well as well. That's good stuff for the game.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh's one I'm still trying to kind of figure out. They brought in a bunch of these veterans, some of which have been really bad, and some of which, like Andrew McCutchen, it's like, oh, that's a cool story. It's like, no, he's been one of the best hitters in the league.
Yeah.
And, we shouldn't treating Kutch like he was kind of on the way out, I don't think was ever fair to begin with. I think his underlying stuff in terms of, chase rate and honestly sprint speed, which is insane for someone who's 36, 37 now. But I trusted that Kutch could still be a solid player. I didn't think he'd be anything close to this. So the Pirates are more surprising on the pitching side. Miami, like, I'm a sucker for the Marlins. Like, they're such a circus in some senses, and there's so many of their moves just make no sense. But I really liked a lot of the young pitching that they had. And I know Sandy just had a bit of a clunker, but I could not love Luis Arraez anymore. I loved that trade. I loved it for both sides there. I know Minnesota is also a team that off to a hot start. I know we got some news this morning about Pablo Lopez getting an extension, which I don't know how much of that is, the guy we traded for him is hitting 500. So we should probably keep this guy in-house if we can. But either way, I think that Arraez and some of the other Marlins guys like Soler's really bounced back in a nice way so far. I love watching the Marlins. They're really fun, even if, again, I'm not exactly counting on them to compete in the NL East, but I think they can be around 500.
Talking to Jordan Schusterman from Cespedes Family Barbecue, our Monday regular here on Ben and Woods. And we talked about this earlier, Jordan. It's kind of my pet theory on see what you think. It certainly feels like it applies for the Padres, but teams that had a lot of players at the World Baseball Classic who didn't really get spring training to adjust to the new rules are getting off to a slower start because, we're clearly watching Juan Soto struggle with his timeouts and figure out how it's going. Manny Machado use the word languid of a player seems to be having a slow adjustment period. Now, it's not universal with everybody, but teams with more veteran players, whereas teams with some younger players who have been in the minor leagues and used to these rules for a couple of seasons may get off to a faster start this year. My theory.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I was fascinated by that, before we even got to spring training, just kind of realizing that like these guys are about to just all leave and not get used to these rules.
Right.
At the same time, I don't think, and I don't think this is what you're saying, but I do think that the thing that I keep coming back to with the rules is it's all going way smoother than I thought it would in April. And most people are adjusting. And so at the same time, if you end up with a few players who are important, who happen to be, struggling with it more than others, that's really unfortunate. And like, honestly, that's something that none of us could have predicted. Sure, it was easy to be like, oh, the Pedro Baez's of the world are going to crumble when you ask them to throw a pitch, in under 20 seconds. But some guys are just going to be more effective than others. I mean, Soto's on record saying he hates the pitch clock, right? So it's not
Manny.
even like some things are subtle.
Yeah, so's
right?
Manny. It's hard. They want to slow the game down, and it doesn't give you the opportunity to do that. And that is, you've been doing something a certain way your entire life.
Not saying that they won't adjust.
Yeah, they're going to have to.
I think we have to be fair and give these guys more than 2 weeks to say, all right, here's how you played baseball for the last 10, 15 years in some cases. Now you're going to do it a little bit differently. Now,
it's like I brought up earlier, and it's already one of the hardest things to do in the world, hit a baseball at that level, and you're making it even more difficult by making the batters feel a little bit rushed.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think that is also just a more of a macro thing that has been so fascinating for me to experience over the last, so many months since we started talking about the rules when they were announcing the offseason. Is the first thought is, oh my God, the pitch timer, how are the pitchers going to handle it? If you talk to people, they're all saying it's harder on the hitters, especially particularly for the first chunk of the game. I do think relievers are still the ones that are struggling with it a lot more than starters in some cases. But for the most part, you're totally right. It's affecting the hitters just as much as the pitchers, which intuitively, I don't think any of us were prepared for that as much as I think that's turned out to be the case. So like you said, I feel both ways, because on one hand, I'm like, everyone's dealing with this and you guys are struggling more than others. So sorry. On the other hand, you're right. It's not surprising that some of these things could take time. And I don't think it's going to turn Juan Soto into a bad hitter. And I do think Manny Machado is going to start slugging a little bit more here soon. But I do think it's fair to wonder if it has had some sort of effect.
Talking to Jordan Schusterman, Cespedes Family Barbecue. Let's see. We got Tatis coming back this week. Musgrove coming back later this week. I think the Padres are going to be just fine, Jordan. I'm not too worried about it. But it does make for some good conversation here early in the season.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I'm the Tatis comeback will really be something. Is he going to homer every single at bat like he is in AAA? Probably not. But it was a nice little reminder of the kind of offensive jolt he can kind of provide at the top of the lineup. It seems like we're expecting him to be batting leadoff when he comes back. I know the lineup order has been something that's been discussed. What is the best shuffling, of those four main guys? But I think Tatis at the top will certainly start things off, and I can't wait to be watching him again.
Before you go, I have to address this because I see in our comments on our YouTube stream. So this Barbecue Dude segment is sponsored by a different barbecue place. Jordan doesn't actually make barbecue. That's just the name of their baseball podcast and site. He doesn't actually make the barbecue, so it's not really a direct competition. Grand Ole Barbecue is not head-to-head with Cespedes Family Barbecue
that would be
selling ribs.
That would be dumb. That would be dumb.
Hey,
pitting two of them together.
I'm glad you mentioned that, though, because one of the funniest things that happens to us as a fake barbecue brand, which is obviously not what we are, is we get direct messages from barbecue blog
sauce
companies?
distributors.
Yeah. And they're like, hey, you interested in doing XYZ? Again, I know this partnership with Grand Ole Barbecue is awesome, is perfect for supporting baseball talk in San Diego. But sometimes people really think that that's what we do, and that is not the case.
How good are you at making barbecue? I'm from Texas. I am horrible at it. The one time I tried to smoke a brisket, I almost died. You guys remember that? That is a true story. I sat down in my hammock and I fell over the edge of it and I hit my head on the deck.
Hard. We have video of it.
There's video of it. And I thought I sliced my brain stem. And that was the first and last time I ever tried to smoke meat. So I'm terrible at it. How are you guys?
No, it's also something just limiting. So we stick to eating it. That
Yeah.
seems like way easier, way less dangerous. And fortunately, there are all kinds of awesome places like Randall Barbecue that can provide such barbecue. So I don't have to worry about making
exactly
Jordan,
exactly.
thank
right.
you so much. Always appreciate it. Have a good one.
it. Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Jordan Schusterman, Cespedes Family Barbecue. Again, a baseball podcast, not a barbecue restaurant.
I like this. Ben and Woods barbecue sauce featuring Cespedes Family Barbecue, sponsored by Grand Ole Barbecue. This is all brilliant. I mean, I loved the idea of having them sponsored by our friends at Grand Ole because it's really a brilliant bit.
Can I say I actually disagree with Jordan and you about the Tatis reception. He will get some booze when he comes back on the road. I think it's going to end very quickly, though.
Interesting that you say that. You don't spend a lot of time on Twitter. I spend an inordinate amount of time on Twitter. Jordan actually slightly brought up the point, too, that the pitchers are still mad about it. He's always been thrown at. He's been thrown at up and in for 5 years or 4 years. How many times have we gotten on our show and said, hey, is anyone going to go search my Twitter feed for saying, is anyone going to protect our kid there? Because he gets worn out all the time.
I booed Barry Bonds, but not once because I thought he took steroids. I booed him because he murdered my team and was a massive jerk.
Yeah.
And I hated him. So I booed him. Did David Ortiz get booed all over the place? I don't think so. You know why? Because he smiled a lot. You know who smiles a lot? Fernando Tatis Jr.
I hate to
He's
be
going to smile. He's going to do some great things. He's going to flash that smile. And within a couple of months, his reception on the road is going to be pretty much like it always was, is my
You're
guess.
a sweet angel. You really are. You really are. You're a sweet angel.
He's likable. He's too likable for everybody to hate. I don't think people can hate him. I really don't.
I think he's in for it.
He's not a villain. He's just never going to be a villain.
Okay. He is, and you want him to be, and he will thrive off of it. That's one thing I do.
I don't think so. I don't think he's a villain, and I don't think he ever will be one in baseball.
Go see one of his home runs over the weekend and go read the comments, and your delicate sensibilities will
the first one we talked about it, and the pitcher got mad, and there were a lot of comments, and then he hit the 3 home run game,
Go
the
read.
2-run game, and
it's right there for you.
I just don't think it's going to be lasting. I
I'm
think
telling
it's going to
you.
disappear.
I'm telling
That's my. I mean, I don't know for sure, but
maybe in
that's-
a decade, sure.
No, not that long. It's going to take a couple of months.
Okay.
Couple of months. As long as he's producing and smiling and being him, I think he'll go quickly to being one of the more popular players in baseball again.
I mean, he's always going to be with me. He's always going to be in this town for the most part, actually. But I think, on the road, it's going to be tough based on just the comments that I'm seeing every day.
I mean,
every single day.
people boo Nelson Cruz? He's well liked, I think. I mean, he's not one of the hated players in baseball.
I mean, I think his suspension was a long time ago.
It was.
The time does heal.
He also wasn't really a
all
face
he
of
wasn't
baseball.
like a
Video game cover,
right?
Elite face of.
You agree? I think it's going to be a rough go for him. At least, this
I
season's
think-
going to be rough.
I think like Ben was describing how it's going to be hard enough for a lot of Padres fans. Not all, or even the majority, but there's going to be Padres fans that have an issue with him.
There still are. I still see that.
Right.
As well,
It's
I got to
gonna
spend
be-
less time on Twitter. That's what this all boils down to.
The smile is going to. The smile alone may win over most, if not all, Padres fans, but even that's going to take some time. He goes on the road, dude. He's in for it.
Yeah, he is.
And that sucks.
I love him. I'm never going to boo him, but I think just based on what you've seen in baseball with guys that have been popped for steroids, and none of them are as likable as Tatis. I will give you that. None of them.
Nope.
He's been the most likable guy popped maybe ever. So we'll see how
history of pro sports.
history
possibly.
of pro sports. Exactly.
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to moments you missed on 97.3 The Fan. Just click on Listen on Demand. If you missed a guest feature or something else, just go back. We got you covered. Download the free Odyssey app, search 97.3 The Fan. Tap earlier today to get started. We got a Randall report, get you updated on the NBA playoffs and more coming up next on 97.3 The Fan. Got some Padres tickets to give away coming up here in our final hour. Do not go away. The homestand finale against the Atlanta Braves on Wednesday. Got you a pair of tickets coming up in just a few minutes, and it'd be nice if the Padres could win this series. You don't want to have just an awful homestand that features like a 2-5 or 1-6 record. That would be unfortunate.
It's funny. I was looking too at some of the better teams in baseball, and I was looking at the home and away splits because I am seeing a lot of people saying, "Man, Padres are just bad at home." And I'd need to go back and look for the last couple seasons. That feels right. It feels like they played a little better on the road. The Tampa Bay Rays leading the AL East, Ben, they are 10-0 at home. The Yankees are 6-4 at home. They're 10-6. Toronto is 4-2 at home. Minnesota's 4-2 at home. Texas is 6-3 at home. These are division leaders. Atlanta's 4-3 at home. All three of those losses courtesy of your San Diego Padres. Milwaukee is 5-1 at home. Arizona is 5-2 at home. The Dodgers are 5-4 at home, and your San Diego Padres are 4-6 at home. The home cooking has not been super kind to the San Diego Padres. I mean,
last year they were better on the road. 44-37 at home, 45-36.
But hell, at least a winning
on
record.
The road.
At least a winning record.
Year before, though,
home.
45-36 at home, 34-47 on the road in 2021.
Yeah. So the home cooking, and like you said earlier when you were talking about Soto and the old getting pet code. I've seen Carp get pet code once. I think I've seen Kim get pet code once. I haven't really seen Juan Soto get pet code much, right? It hasn't been like, oh, he's just missing these balls right to the warning track. I can think of one off the top of my head. But other than that, man, they're just not finding the gaps right now. And they will. I have confidence that they will find those gaps, and the runs will be a premium right now. But yeah, the run differential, down -2 right now. It's nothing.
It's what a team that is a game under 500 should expect.
That's exactly right.
It's not like you're getting blown out every game, and it's not like you're winning a lot of blowouts and losing some 1-0 games. They're right where you'd expect for an 8-9 team.
Dodgers have the only plus run differential in the NL West, and it's a sizable lead. They're +18. Conversely, Colorado's -27 with their 5-11 record. But listen, I think, just to state the obvious, the expectations for this team going into the season, this is not the record anybody expected, even without Fernando Tatis Jr., even without Robert Suarez, even without Joe Musgrove. You feel like you've got enough guns in the lineup to get it done. And again, they're getting it done about 50% of the time, and that's not good enough.
Ultimately, you can talk about Soto's struggles, Manny's struggles, the pitch clock, and how that's affecting the Padres hitters and pitchers. To me, the biggest factor is you don't win when you can't get hits with runners in scoring position.
Yep.
Padres have had, they were 0 for 6 yesterday with 4 strikeouts with runners in scoring position. I believe it was their 7th game when they went hitless with runners in scoring position. And most of those games, they had a decent number of opportunities. It's not as though that they've been shut out on one hit over and over again. They get walks, they get hits, they get guys at second and third. And in almost half of their games, they just can't get by a hit with runners in scoring position. That usually evens out. There's not a lot of data that tells you that a team will struggle all season long with runners in scoring position. It is simply something that happens in baseball, and then it evens itself out later. So because of that, I'm going to trust that as long as the Padres continue getting runners on and over to second and third, they will win a bunch of ball games this year.
Yep, as am I. I'm also going to trust that that's going to happen. Tough customer on the mound tonight in Max Fried. And then you're going to have a really tough customer against Spencer Strider, I do believe, throws tomorrow.
Correct.
And then do we know who's going the next game?
I did not look at the
TBD, maybe?
series finale. Fried, it's his first start since opening day. He's been on the injured list, so see what his level of, if there's any rust or anything as he gets activated for today's game. But, of course, he is one of the better pitchers in the National League, and Strider's tough, although they did get a win against Strider in Atlanta, I believe, in that series.
Yeah. No.
Is that the game they lost?
He won the first game, I think.
Oh, and then they lost the next 3.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Tough start to this series against the Atlanta Braves. A lot else going on, though, this weekend and in the world of sports. Let's get some headlines. Paulie, it's the Randall Report.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Randall Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Rindle Report, with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Paulie.
We will start off in the NBA. The NBA playoffs are in full motion right now. Saturday, fairly chalky in the NBA, except for the Kings actually upsetting the Warriors 126-123 in their first game of their first series. But yesterday, the Lakers beat the Grizzlies 128-112. Austin Reeves, the hero in that one, just like everybody would have expected. Heat beat the Bucks 130-117. The Nuggets throttled the Timberwolves 109-80 to take a 1-0 lead in that series. And then last night, man, the Clippers, there's a lot of different ways we could go with this one. Russell Westbrook had a pretty rough game. I think he was like 3 for 18 or something like that from the field, but hits 2 free throws at the end to pretty much ice the game, then makes a play that absolutely iced the game. Guy on Phoenix is dribbling up the left with his left hand going up for a layup. Westbrook blocks it. And then as the ball is going out of bounds, he launches himself across the baseline. He's falling out of bounds, chucks it right off of, I think it was Devin Booker, goes out of bounds. Clippers win. But Woods, you actually saw a little bit of Russell Westbrook yesterday, but it had nothing to do with him being on the floor.
Yeah, he went into a suite and was yelling at the guy in the suite in front of his kid. And the kid is sitting there terrified because there's Russell Westbrook. He's got his
missed this. I thought I was like, what are you talking about?
He's got his jersey up,
like after the game,
like tucked up. It's almost like he's wearing a half shirt and he's in the
he is in
midriff
full
bearing
uniform.
midriff
halter tops,
like a Coachella outfit you'd wear at Coachella. If you were an attractive girl, you would wear the bare midriff and show. And he's in this suite, and he says, "Keep your mouth shut, MFer." And the guy's standing there like, "What? What in the world is happening?" So not a great look. I would imagine that's going to warrant a suspension, which is not what you want when you're.
Playoffs.
No,
How
no,
close
you don't
was
want
this
that.
suite
you don't
to
want
the
to play.
court? I'm
Suites are like in the 300
I mean,
level.
you're
like,
so far up with a suite. How would he even have any idea?
No, it was like a floor level
It was like a
suite.
floor level
Mhm.
suite.
Do you not see this?
I didn't see this. So
Incredible.
it was in Phoenix, so I don't know the layout of their
the
arena.
Footprint Center in downtown Phoenix. No, wasn't clear about that either. Injuries, big
Kawhi
story
Leonard
to
at
watch.
38. The Clippers last night.
Giannis got hurt back.
Pulled him in the first half, right?
Broke his hand. Did you see Tyler Hero of Miami break his hand? Now the play continues, so they don't call timeout. His team is on offense. He's standing in the corner, like in agony. You can see him just standing, like bent over, writhing in pain, and it's 4-on-5. And he's the only guy that's open because the who is Miami playing? The Bucks. They're not guarding him because he's clearly writhing in pain. But his teammate fires a pass over to him, like just absolutely scalds a pass to him. Despite his broken hand, he catches it, hits the 3, and then just goes, this is killing me. And then he comes off the court and he's got a broken hand. He's going to be out 6 weeks. But he made a 3-pointer with a broken hand in his team's win. I thought that was pretty impressive. Also, did you see how cool the Sacramento Kings thing is? The light the beam?
No.
After the game?
It's pretty cool.
Did you see that? I mean, they've installed this.
Kings fans have waited a long time.
Like the Luxor in Las Vegas has the beam of light?
Yes.
This thing is like a laser. It shoots up in the air. The whole arena kind of starts lighting up after the win in like this orchestrated display. And then it goes to the top, and then this green beam of light shoots out when they win, and the whole arena says light the beam. They have thousands of people outside like cheering. It's their first playoff win since 2006. Really good game, beating the Warriors on Saturday night. De'Aaron Fox with 38 points. But I thought that was really cool. Sacramento doing it right up there. A team that, like San Diego, very starved for playoff success, and they get a taste of it over the weekend.
Yeah. All right, that's it for the sports. I'll try to lighten the mood a little bit.
Bless it, Paulie.
fairly depressing Monday morning after that weekend series. You guys heard about the website rentahitman.com?
I saw this story. I was blown away, but I don't know why I was blown away because it makes perfect sense to me.
It's kind of like Cespedes Family Barbecue. They don't actually rent.
They don't do barbecue
they don't do barbecue.
The website was started as a joke back in 2005, and then real submissions actually started coming in, and the guys that started the website thought we should probably inform the authorities on what is happening here. We've got a lot of people that are trying to hire hitmen. Somebody was arrested last week, a 21-year-old in Tennessee. He was a member of the Air National Guard, and earlier this year he did not apply to hire a hitman.
He wanted to be one.
He applied to become a hitman for rentahitman.com fake website.
If you're looking for a hitman, I'm your guy. Here's my resume.
It's tough to find employment. So, I mean, he saw an opportunity, thought he'd take it.
Let's not joke around. I mean, it's a real thing. That's a real thing that exists out there.
Just not on rentahitman.com.
Are you dumb enough to say, if I just go apply on this website, then they'll, hey, is this Eric? Yeah, this is he. Hey, we looked at your application. Looks good. Got your first job.
What's your 401k plan like?
Gonna send you out
dental. Do you give dental?
Gonna send you out to Topeka, and you got to whack this guy out.
Benefits plan.
Yeah, your tickets are in your. We're gonna email you your tickets.
We got an app, and you'll get your target list on the app. Just make sure you keep it updated. The corporate website.
It's natural selection, my friends. Darwinism at its finest.
Yeah. The young man said he was looking for a job that paid well and where his military experience could come in handy. Quote, what can I say? I enjoy what I do, so if I can find a job that is similar to it, such as this one, put me in. Police were behind it, and they let him on for a couple of months just to make sure he wasn't joking. Like, he was absolutely serious on this. Had he just Googled, rentahitman.com, would have been very easy to find out that it's a fake website. He said he gave minimum amounts of money that it would cost for the job, and he has now been arrested. Not very smart. Right. And then finally, I saw this on Reddit yesterday. Listen to this new song featuring Drake and The Weeknd.
That's Drake.
That is Drake. Skip ahead a little bit.
Yeah, skip ahead a little Weeknd. There's The Weeknd.
That's still Drake.
Oh, it's Drake. There's The Weeknd. So they have a new collab out.
Yeah, a new collab.
Fellas. Not really.
Unfortunately, that is not the case. That is an AI-generated song, and I had to learn about AI-generated
totally
music.
Been convinced that was real.
Yeah. So UMG controls about a third of the global music market, and they have already been working with streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Music to ban artificial intelligence. And so this guy that posted, Roberto Nixon, he linked in that story to another video that he put out that kind of explains what AI music is and how it works. So I wanted to play that for you.
I found this Kanye style beat on YouTube. I wrote 8 bars and I'm going to record them now. And then I'm going to have AI Kanye replace me.
So you can find beats and instrumentals and all of that on YouTube.
Yep.
So he found one that sounded like a Kanye West song. He himself, just a rando, wrote some lyrics.
I got a fantasy that's beautiful, that's dark and twisted. But I attacked the whole religion all because of my ignorance. What was I thinking? That was
so
some
that's him.
I lost Adidas, but that's
just the guy.
This could be you. This could be Ben.
Boys in the hood, just like I'm easy.
Opens up a lot of doors for Ben Reed's rap.
Chicago, life ain't easy.
Okay.
To bring it back.
But then,
all right, let me cut it there. So let's hear those vocals I just recorded now with Kanye over there.
There is AI software that learns these famous celebrities like Kanye, Drake, Weeknd, anybody else. It learns their vocal patterns and all of that. So you can take those lyrics that this random guy who doesn't sound like Kanye West or anything like that, he wrote these lyrics. You put it in through the Kanye software, add it to that beat that he found on YouTube, and now listen.
I got a fantasy that's beautiful, that's dark and twisted. But I attacked the whole religion all
unreal.
because of my ignorance. What was I thinking? That was some I lost Adidas, but I'm still Yeezy. Back in the kitchen, man, I'm a genius. Boys in the hood, just like I'm easy. Kanye, Easy, Southside.
It sounds identical.
If I
Kanye
just
West.
played that, you would have thought that was a
cool
song you had not heard of. AI music.
Now we tried this with Ben and Woods.
We did.
It didn't go quite that well.
No, it didn't sound
like us or the
Nobody's
topic's got a-
made any Ben and Woods software.
The topic's got a little
recognition
off.
yet,
and
voice
it-
recognition.
You know, we can't just take the day off and have AI Ben and Woods. Like if we want a Friday off one day, we just hit AI Ben and Woods, do
Have a
4
ball.
hours,
Yeah.
and take the rest of the day off.
Well, then guess what would happen? There would be no more days. There would be all days off. It
I mean, I
would
feel
just
like-
be, we'll just pay for the software.
Obviously, AI is nothing new, but it's really been booming over the last 6 months,
Yeah.
maybe. I mean, what the hell is what are things going to look like in a year from
I
now?
have no idea.
5 years
I have
from now?
no
Every new
earthly-
song that comes out, you're going to be like, is that really this person or is it AI?
Could an AI manage a baseball team?
Yeah, probably.
Probably. Yeah, you get enough data on. I mean, baseball is data and statistics.
Yeah.
You get a computer that learns.
I would
what
say actually relatively
optimal
easy.
strategies in baseball. You have a screen, like an iPad,
Probabilities.
and you got a guy who's just holding it, and it tells you exactly what to do in every situation, what pitches to call, whether to call steals, anything, lineups to construct. My guess is the AI would do fairly well. Now, if the players knew it was an AI, that might be a problem in terms of, feeling it does, you don't have that coach feeling, that personal touch. But if they didn't know it and you were just like, all right, I've just been named manager of this team, I don't know what I'm doing. But if I just looking at my watch and it tells me every second what to do,
what move
and
to
otherwise I'm just like, hey, yeah, let's go, guys. All right, we're gonna
Just
do a pitch
ass
out here.
slapping.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're just doing that part of it. My guess is it would probably be okay.
Cheater
Does that
says,
minimize what Bob Melvin does?
Can AI teach you how to hit? Probably not.
Probably not. That's
You
more
still
art.
have- that's an art.
That's more art than science.
Exactly right. Thank you, Paulie.
Paulie, good work on the Roundel Report. When we come back, Padres tickets, we're going to give some away for Wednesday's homestand finale. Get ready to call in. Your chance to win coming up after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan. After losing 3 in a row to the Padres, Braves have won their next 6 games versus the Reds and at the Royals for 3. So they are coming in hot tonight.
Cool.
For game 1 of the 3-game series. It'll be Max Fried
Love to hear that.
on the mound against Ryan Weathers. Well, actually, they've been hot all year. They have won every single game they've played except for one. They lost 9-8 to the Red Sox in their 3rd game. They've won every other game except for the 3 they lost to the Padres this year. So the Braves have been quite good, except the Padres have been their kryptonite. We'll see if that continues.
Keep that rolling.
Tonight in game 1 of the series, and it is Johnny Ritchie, Pacific Coast League throwback night. Woodsy's wearing his throwback S Padres hat.
Love this lid.
My wife got hers over the weekend.
Good.
So she's got the S hat as well. S for Steven.
Yes.
S for Shelley.
Yep.
And S for San Diego.
That's right.
It's funny that you go back and you think, well, why wouldn't they have an SD? But it's just
the S.
Just the S for San Diego. All one word.
I like it.
And
yeah, jumped off the rack at me.
And this is, I think this means a lot to the Padres organization, especially the 75th anniversary of Johnny Ritchie breaking the color barrier in the Pacific Coast League on the West Coast after Jackie Robinson did it on the East Coast. We saw Jackie Robinson Day over the weekend with everyone wearing number 42. I got to go to the Jackie Robinson Museum when I went on my trip, my quick trip to New York last year. That was a cool experience.
Your dinner trip.
My dinner trip also included
when you flew to New York for dinner.
A stop at the new Jackie Robinson Museum. It was just down the street. So we walked over and checked it out. That was fun and interesting. A little trip down, a lot of history. It's not just baseball. It's also, what was happening socially in the times and the impact that Jackie had and Johnny Ritchie had an impact here on the West Coast as well. So Padres will be in those PCL uniforms.
The unis
tonight.
are great. They look so good. So, I mean, we roll out some really good uniforms. I'd like to roll out a dub tonight. I'd like to roll out a dub. I'd like to roll out a couple of dubs in a row. I mean, they got the work cut out for them, though. Like you said, Braves scorching hot right now, but I don't know, man. Try to hold them close on the base paths and get some timely hits, and let's see what happens out of Petco Park. And you like the comfortability of we just beat you guys 3 games in a row, but they've got some good arms coming against us.
Well, you get your best guy for holding runners on the mound tonight, and Ryan Weathers. So less of a concern as it is with some of the other
good call.
pitchers like you, Darvish.
We got a call up over the weekend too. That was fairly interesting news for the Padres. I guess Campusano he jammed his thumb. Was he catching a bullpen or something, or warming somebody up?
I didn't see how or when exactly it happened.
He played through it, I think, though. But they're not going to put him on the IL, but they did bring up Brett Sullivan. I got to imagine it's going to be Austin Nola behind the dish tonight, or do you think Campy could be able to get back there?
I have no idea. They didn't put him on the injured list, and with position players, you only have to go on the 10-day injured list. So presumably, they think he's going to be back in less than 10 days, probably no more than 5 or 6, but could still be another game or two. My guess would be it'll be Nola probably today and tomorrow. And if Campy's not ready, then Sullivan will catch on Wednesday in the final game of the series, although maybe they don't want Nola to go 4 in a row this early in the year. It just goes to show you all the speculation, and we talk about, it's definitely going to be Campy starting 2 of these games, and why is Nola starting on Saturday and no one, because we don't have all the information that Bob Melvin and his coaching staff and trainers are working with. So, before you throw every single tweet out there calling the manager an idiot for his lineup and why isn't Campy starting, probably wait to hear the other side of the story. And, he was dealing with a thumb injury that the general public and, media hadn't been made aware of yet.
Yeah, it's exactly right. So I again, just kind of hope that the injury is not something that lingers with Campusano. Would love to see him get back there. Would love to see him continue to, try to put together some good ABs. And I thought Nola's ABs yesterday were a little bit better. We're a couple feet away from him having a really nice afternoon yesterday. That one got me out of my chair a little bit.
I do always like that perspective as well. I think there's some legitimate talking points today about the Padres' offensive struggles and Soto. But how different is this show if Austin Nola's ball is 5 feet fair and they run around the bases and they win 2-1 today?
Yeah, and you split that series and let's flush what happened on Friday. Nice come from behind victory yesterday. Nice to see Nola get a knock. I mean, you can do that show does itself. You don't even really need to be here it show does itself. You're feeling in a much better mood. But
Ugly losses, couple of great wins.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
to get that one yesterday.
100%.
And hey, let's get ready for these Braves.
Nice-
Let Ryan Weathers, man.
nice to battle back yesterday.
Ugh.
Had some opportunities, but man, what a nice piece by Nola there in a big spot off a really tough pitcher. Yeah, I mean it's a game of
I don't think
inches
we're
and
talking
feet.
at all about a pitch comm error that caused a balk in the second inning if the Padres win, but because they lose, we talk about it more. So yeah, it's just, I mean, it's good perspective when you think about, all right, if one little tiny thing changes, if we're changing our narrative completely, then it's not a real narrative for the San Diego Padres. Now, I think we're still talking about Juan Soto's struggles.
Yeah.
I think Ken Rosenthal is still talking about he doesn't like to hit in the 2-hole. He wants to be in the 3-hole. He's not getting comfortable. I think that's a legitimate storyline for the Padres. Even if they were 10, even if they were 12-5 right now.
Right.
I think Juan Soto struggling would still be a storyline for the Padres.
Well, I mean, we're going to be chatty about Juan Soto because Juan Soto was chatty about Juan Soto over the weekend. Talked to Chelsea Janes, talked to Ken Rosenthal, talked to AJ Cassavell. I mean, he's talking openly about, what's happening or what's not happening. So, yeah, of course we're going to talk about that.
All right, how about some day baseball? We got a pair of tickets for Wednesday's Padres Braves series finale, homestand finale, 1:10 start at Petco Park, and you can win them by being the fourth caller right now at 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Tickets are still available. You can go to Padres.com/tickets to get your own to see the Padres taking on the Braves this Wednesday in the series finale. Should be Nick Martinez against Charlie Morton, according to my information here.
Right on.
That, again, is subject to change for the next couple of days. But, Weathers, Fried, Snell, Strider, Martinez, Morton, and then the Padres go to Arizona, where they will welcome back Fernando Tatis Jr. on Thursday against the Diamondbacks. Call now, 833-288-0973. In-season Sammy covering all these games, and we'll check in coming up next with Ben Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Speaking of Brett Sullivan, did you see the quote of him on what Fernando Tatis was doing down there at AAA? Because he was with him for until yesterday, all of those games, and he said essentially he needs to get up here ASAP. I've never seen something like that. You guys are in for something special when he comes back. It was insane. I think it was 4 in a row he homered. Backside, pull side, dead center. It almost looked unfair. That was the scouting report from Brett Sullivan, firsthand, AAA El Paso.
When you're dialed, you are dialed. I can't even imagine what that feels like to step up there and that thing looks like a beach ball. Really. I mean, Paulie and I were getting nervous our fantasy camp ABs. You know what I mean?
Coming
Just
in
like
at 45 miles an hour.
the old Brandon Dixon.
But even to see the ball that well, but to still make such good enough contact to hit, 12 home runs this weekend, wherever he hit?
It's just nuts.
Unbelievable. I mean, talk about locked in.
Congratulations to Paulie, who won Vicente wins the Padres tickets for Wednesday. Everybody, thank you for calling in. You may go back to resuming just listening to the program because we have given away those tickets. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Cal Hope. For free mental health help, call calhope.org or visit calhope.org. Cal Hope can help. Access Cal Hope's free and secure mental health resources today. Call 833-317-4673 or live chat at calhope.org. And we got in-season Sammy standing by right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Well, it looks like they're still clearing this crash in the westbound 52 just before the 805, getting that out of the right lanes. And you're still going to find some traffic control centered around this crash on or near the Miramar off-ramp northbound 805. So just give yourself a little extra time there. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, let's go out to our premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Joining us, as he does every Monday. Saw him at the ballpark yesterday. In-season Sammy. Sam Levitt, our pre- and post-game show host with us here on 97.3 The Fan. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning, gentlemen. Hope your week is off to a good start. Have been enjoying the program this morning. I believe Bird Rock Coffee Roasters is a sponsor, right?
Yeah,
So
they are a daily sponsor of the Ben & Woods program.
Okay. Great. I began my morning with some Bird Rock coffee at the location in Bird Rock. How about that? So
that is
nice start to the
absolutely
morning.
So Bird Rock is an interesting place. You can live in San Diego essentially your whole life. Never go to Bird Rock. It's not on the way to anywhere.
It's like a destination.
You have to actually want to go to Bird Rock because if you're going to La Jolla, you go one
spot,
way,
though.
you go to PB. It's kind of in between, but you never really just accidentally pass through Bird Rock.
If you're going between PB
That's
to
about
La Jolla
it. Yeah.
or La Jolla to
That's
PB.
about it. It's PB to La Jolla or La Jolla to PB. Anything else, and you're probably just bypassing on the 5 and going around. But it's right there. And I must say, I lived in San Diego growing up, and I don't think I went to Bird Rock for the first time until I was well into my 20s.
Surprises
like,
me,
oh, look,
actually.
there's
That
Bird
really,
Rock, California.
that surprised me. Good coffee, isn't it, Sammy?
Yeah, it's good, and I don't live all that far from Bird Rock, so it's not much of a trip for me. But it's a nice area over there for sure.
It is, man.
Yeah, would be even better if it was sunny right now. I feel like I'm getting what I missed with the 6 weeks in Peoria, where it wouldn't stop raining. That's how it feels the last couple of days with the cloudy weather.
Yeah, it's a little bit cruddy. The record mirrors a little bit of kind of how everybody's feeling. It's okay. It's early. I'm a big enjoy the ride guy. I even admitted this morning, Sammy, though, I'm enjoying the ride less. And I don't know why that is. Just more pressure. There's more pressure on, I think, the players to perform. There's more pressure when you get so much national publicity. Like everybody in the world is talking about, oh my God, look at this lineup. And I realize there's a big piece missing. When you have so much national attention, it's kind of why I said at the beginning of the year, I wish they would stop. I wish they would stop talking about us. Let us lie in the weeds a little bit. But that's not been the case, Sammy. And the boys are off to a bit of a slow start.
Yeah, and offensively, obviously, it has not been what you wanted or expected. And I think, to me, that was what was most disappointing about yesterday. And I talked about it after the game on Saturday. I talked about it in the pregame yesterday. To me, the biggest question going into yesterday was, could they continue to do what they did on Saturday offensively into Sunday? And that obviously did not happen at all. And you're just searching for that offensive consistency. And as you guys have discussed a lot this morning, getting Manny Machado and getting Juan Soto going would be a huge part of that, right? Once those guys really get going, then I have a feeling your offense is going to be a whole lot more consistent. We've talked in the past few days about Fernando returning, and obviously what he's done at AAA is incredible. And maybe I come at it from a little bit of a different perspective because I spent, so long working at AA, but I don't care what level or that it's the hitter-friendly PCL. AAA is no joke, okay? A lot of those guys are up and down from the major leagues all the time. You've got to be very talented to play at AAA. And to do what he did over the course of this weekend was unbelievable. So, look, it obviously raises, if they could get higher, raises the expectations for what you hope Fernando can do when he returns on Thursday. But I also think maybe realistically, we have to be pretty patient. I mean, he hasn't played in well over a year in the majors, and there may be an adjustment period there. So I don't think it's fair to necessarily expect him to come back and that be the spark to all this offensive consistency we're looking for. And we'll see in the next 3 days if they can, find some sort of rhythm, some sort of consistency. And obviously you're looking at Soto and Manny right now as the two guys in that lineup that you're hoping can really find their stride here in the coming days. And then obviously the big story becomes Fernando coming back on Thursday.
Well, you mentioned Saturday's game, and I want to have this discussion with everybody because the key to scoring runs in Major League Baseball, and this may seem obvious, but maybe it needs to be pointed out. You need to string hits together, usually in a certain part of your lineup. Most teams will count on their, number 1, 2, 3, or 2, 3, 4 hitters to be the guys that do that. And there's a reason for it. That you put your best hitters together, they string hits together, you score runs. In that game, it happened to be the 4, 5, 6 hitters. Xander Bogaerts had 3 hits, Nelly Cruz had 2 hits, and Jake Cronenworth had 3 hits and 2 home runs. All 4, 5, 6 in the order, you put up 10 runs. Manny Machado and Juan Soto went 1 for 7 on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Now, Soto walked 3 times, helped set the table, so it did help a little bit. But until at least one of those guys get going, if both of those guys struggle at the same time, it's going to be very hard to score runs for the San Diego Padres. I mean, you could split them up maybe. That would be weird because you'd have to drop one of them probably further in the order to do that. But right now, as long as those two guys are struggling 2, 3 in the order, it is going to continue to be a struggle, Sammy, to score runs.
Guys, I thought earlier, and I was listening, I thought you hit the nail on the head. You said something to the effect of, if guys like Juan Soto and Manny Machado don't hit their stride, don't start hitting the way we know they're capable of hitting, don't have good seasons, I mean, we're a long way from that, then this may not be the season that we anticipated, right? I mean, this team was built to hit. It's something Bob Melvin talked about over the weekend during a point in the series against Milwaukee. This team is built to hit, and they will have to start hitting. And if the middle of the order was hitting more consistently, I think the record, safe to say, would be better than 8 and 9. So you're exactly right. I mean, at the end of the day, this team is built to hit. They've made moves both financially with the trades to build the middle of that order, a top of the order that is built to hit, a deep lineup. Look, Saturday was great. It's exactly what you would have wanted to see. Obviously, Jake had a huge game, a career day for him. But that's what you want to see. I mean, even with Juan Soto, like you said, Ben, didn't have a hit in that game, but walked 3 times and scored 3 runs. And you will take that in a 10-run outburst. But I think it's fair to assess it as this team will go as far as their offense takes them. And it was a team that is built to hit. It's a very small sample size, 17 games. You look at the standings, like you guys were saying, and it's not like they're 10 games out of first place. There is plenty of time, but I always say this on the post game, 2 things can be true at once, and it can still be an underwhelming start, even with it being as early as it is. And, I think in a few weeks, if these offensive inconsistencies and some guys in the middle of the order, if they're not really, to a point where they're hitting consistently and have really got going yet, then we're probably having a different conversation. And I think we're quite a bit more worried. But I do still think, if we're being honest and realistic, 17 games in is still very, very, very early. So we'll see. But certainly, the middle of that lineup, it's the most important element to this team. And that's the way they were built.
They're very much remind me of my children, who I love more than anything in the world. I love the San Diego Padres as well. They frustrate me, and it's frustrating being a parent. It's frustrating being a fan. There's days where you want to bang your head against the wall when you're a parent. There's days when you want to bang your head against the wall as a fan. It's exactly how I felt yesterday. Doesn't mean I love you any less. I love you more.
Yeah.
I love you more, in fact, because I was very bullish on this team last year when they hit a little bit of a lull. I'm going to continue to stay bullish on what should be a better team. But yeah, I mean, the expectations, I think, is what makes it so difficult, to swallow a below 500 start in only 17 games. I understand all of that. I wanted to talk a little bit about just the pitching issues.
Yeah.
Waka had been he looked pretty good. Then Friday night was not good. Everything was up. Did he talk after the game? I didn't hear. Did you hear any comments he made? Just one of those nights didn't have it, or what happened there?
Yeah, I didn't hear anything in particular that stood out. I mean, look, I think for Waka, to me, it seemed to be one of those, right? Just one of those starts.
One of those
where it was
nights.
pretty clear. Yeah, where pretty clear early on, based on that first inning, that he didn't have his best stuff, and then Yelich hits the home run in the second inning, and just like that, you're down 5-0. Padres really never recovered. I mean, I looked at this series. I looked at the outing from Waka. Obviously, Lugo wasn't nearly as good or as sharp as he was the first two outings. Those two guys being veterans, I know Lugo's in a situation where over the course of the season, you may have some questions as to how many innings he will throw, but from an effectiveness standpoint, I don't have a ton of questions because I think he's really good, and I think he's going to put up good numbers for this team in whatever role he's given. But to me, they were two unfortunate back-to-back starts where guys didn't have it. To me, again, and like you guys have been saying all morning, the story the last week has been the offense. And, I just kind of calculated it here. The last 7 games with runners in scoring position, they're 8 for 52. That's a 153 batting average. And when you get guys on base and can't get them in, and the offense struggles the way they did yesterday, and you're getting shut out, and one run comes in the way it did against Darvish, it's never going to look pretty, and it's always going to feel really frustrating. I'll give you a positive, though, Woodsy, on the pitching side. I think, in the bullpen, there have been some guys here that have really pitched well. I mean, I feel like nobody's talking about how good Steven Wilson has been.
Very,
He's
very
been
good.
awesome.
Very,
He
very
looks
good.
great,
Yep.
and his stuff is really good. I don't think it's far-fetched to believe that Wilson is a pretty good reliever here and could find himself, especially without Robert Suarez. He keeps doing what he's doing with that stuff. He could be your primary setup guy.
A lot of
Josh
trust.
Hader until Suarez gets back. He's been great. Obviously, Honeywell has had some really good moments in open dives, and and there have been some others in that bullpen as well who have been pretty good here for the last week or so, going back to that Atlanta series after they had a rough game. So. There are some positives on that side. The starting pitching, has been a little bit up and down, but I thought it was a great sign yesterday to see Yu Darvish look as sharp as he did.
So good.
So we'll see. Again, this team's built to hit. I mean, I've said it a couple times now, and Bob Melvin has said it. And, that is going to be the story until this team gets going collectively on a night-to-night basis.
Sammy, I want you to chime in on the discussion about the PitchCom mistake that the Padres made yesterday. Woods and I talked about it. He said, why can't you just go back to the normal signs? And I said, I don't know that it works anymore with the pitch clock. You can, if you're right on the same page, sure, you throw down a sign and you throw the pitch. But if you need to switch and you shake them off twice, you're pretty much out of time at that point. And that's what PitchCom is designed to do. It would be a great system if it worked 100% of the time. Speeds things up. The pitcher can make his own choices. But like any technology, there are going to be some glitches here and there. And unfortunately, every once in a while, they'll have an outsized impact on the game like it did yesterday.
That situation yesterday was a perfect storm of a few elements. Number one, there was initial confusion, it appeared, with Yu Darvish and the umpiring crew as to whether the first step off was a disengagement, and Darvish not being totally sure about how many disengagements he had actually done.
Which is a problem because it's like throwing a pitch and not knowing if it's a 2-2 count or a 3-2 count, and the umpire doesn't tell you. It kind of changes the equation a little bit.
Right, that's the first part of the problem. And that part, I mean, I still, and I know a lot of us have talked about it, these calls, whether it's the pitch clock violation, whether it's the disengagement rule, it's not all that clear at times. And some umpires seem to be better than others. It goes even to when batters call timeout. I mean, it's everything across the board. I constantly find myself wondering what's going on in these situations. And I wish there was a better way to it quickly verbally say it, announce it. I don't know if that's realistic or not, but it was the perfect storm yesterday of that being an initial issue. And then there being this pitch comm issue, which appeared to be just an issue with switching the modes on the pitch comm and not relaying properly to Darvish that it was actually a pitch out rather than a pick-off attempt. And whether Darvish knew at the time he had two disengagements, the bottom line is there were a handful of issues there. You know, it's going to happen. There's a lot going on, and you're on the pitch clock. So we're using new technology, trying to relay signs on the pitch clock, and time's winding down. I can see where that would be very hard on, on a battery. And I don't think you're in a spot there as the clock's winding down. It used to be, yeah, you could just step off. You could, Austin Nola could just with some hand signals kind of say, hey, we're going to the signs, whatever. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah, Nola needs to know it's function option control to, not function option shift to.
Such a nightmare.
Let's
make a hard ass game 50 times harder. Jesus God,
right.
It's just horrible.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it was a few issues there, but at the end of the day, that's not why they lost the game. That's what I said post game yesterday.
Let's get them worked out.
That was not the story.
Let's get them worked out in April. This is, typically spring training is when we want to get these issues worked out. But, a lot of guys didn't have the entire time at spring training. Let's get these issues worked out in April, Sammy. Peak, hit our stride in September and October, and still go win a World Series, which this team is more than capable of doing. And but you know what? It's not going to be easy. I mean, tonight you got a nasty starter and a nasty lineup that Ryan Weathers has to navigate through. Should be a fun one. We're all gluttons for punishment. We'll all be by the dial.
We'll hear you at 5:40 tonight on the pregame show. Thank you, Sammy.
Thanks, Sammy.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Sam Levitt on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. I think we worked through that fairly well over the last 4 hours.
I think so too.
Didn't solve anything, as we rarely do on this program.
Well, the fact that we talked about Soto and his struggling typically leads to a big night for said player. So let's see if the old
night
Ben
game
and
after
Woods,
a day game,
the
full
old
reset.
Ben and Woods anti-curse
Come
works
on.
out. The reverse jinx.
We'll reset Juan Soto. That's function, command, tab,
Control.
7. And we get a brand new Juan Soto tonight. That's it for us. For executive producer Paul Reindl and Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Coach coming up next. Stick around on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.